Here we go again. How are we all doing? How you doing, Phil? Had to quickly run and get me brew, ladies and gents, like you do. Being late again. Yes. Yes, and he's got his beanie on. Yes, he has. It's got to be done. So, yes, it's a moment where we can let people call in today. Whee! I'll put the link there, like you do. Oh, happy days. But today, yes, we will be talking about the UK and Islam. So, yes, that's what it is. So you can call in, you can have your say. My headphones are at the ready. So, all happy day. Yeah, I had to make my brew, mate. I had to make my brew. I've done a runner quickly. I was like, oh, we have a member in the house. Ugly boy. He's changed his name. You made it shorter. I wish you wouldn't be called Ugly, because I can't abbreviate your name to Ugly. Like, oh, hello, Ugly. Good afternoon. I mean, it's a bit personal, isn't it? UB. That's it, Ugly boy, isn't it? UB. Hey, UB. Afternoon. Hope you're well. How you doing, CL? Another one with initials. Oh, I'm all well, mate. I hope you're well. Hope you're living the dream on this glorious Saturday. The sun's out. Can you see? And the blind. I need to get some curtains. Stop the light coming through, don't I? Go like a mushroom. Keep me in the dark. You know how it is. How you doing, British and Proud? Hope you're well. Hope you're living the dream. Oh, happy days. But yeah, call in. The link is in there. We're talking about Islam and the UK today. Islam and the UK. Oh, yeah. No, I date my channel. Ugly Boy is a nickname from an ex that liked Die Antwoord. Oh, wow. That's all you want from a nickname from an ex, isn't it? Ugly Boy. Like, cheers, mate. Oh, how you doing, Ugly Boy? Is that because you probably look like a model and she's being sarcastic? Isn't it? That's what it is. You start calling you Ugly Boy. So, yeah. That's what I reckon. But, yeah, I've got the link in the chat for anyone who wants to come up, discuss whatever you want to discuss. But obviously, we are on Islam and the UK. So, whatever you want to say, call in. It's all happy days. But, yep. They had a song called Ugly Boy. Oh, did they? Oh, South African punk type. Ooh, educating me here. A song called Ugly Boy, eh? But, yeah. So we've got to talk about Islam, haven't we? We've got to talk about Islam. And we've got Michael in the house. How you doing, Michael, this weekend? Are you good?
Yes. Just got back and I saw you leaping on. So, yeah, Islam, I mean, it's a distraction. I mean, it's a very important subject, but Islam was invited into Europe, okay? Islam was invited into Europe. Islam didn't invade Europe. Islam is a tool, okay? Islam was created in order to be a broom, to sweep through Christendom. You just have to figure out, well, who's pushing the broom? And so Islam, it's a distraction. It shouldn't, of course, be here. It's not a civilization that is the best for humanity. And of course, all the Islamic nations, their ancestors were not Muslims. Some of them were Christians. In some areas, they were Buddhist. So Islam has always been a broom, and a very, very effective broom. I mean, I describe it as being sort of Abrahamic Bolshevism, really. It has a purpose, and it's an instrument being used by the Fabians, the Fabian Society. They so it was invited into Europe through all sorts of programs. But its purpose, like the Fabians primarily, that they are created by the central banks as a tool in order to bring about a one world order socialist dictatorship. That's all that's going on. And Islam is a very effective tool for that, because the Fabians want to destroy the nation, destroy the religion, and destroy the family, and do it incrementally over decades and generations in order to bring about this one world order socialist dictatorship. So you just have to, you have to look at the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is the central banks and the esoteric aspect that drives the central banks that are driven to bring about this one world order. And so they created things like communism, they allowed, liberalism. I mean, all of it. I mean, it just goes back certainly till 1840, but before then. So Islam is, of course, it shouldn't be here, but the focus has to be on who brought it here and why did they bring it here.
So do you think, like, bankers or elites, I mean, I'm not too sure, are the bankers the elites? Is that just one group, or, if it's two different people here? But did they see the Quran, read the Quran, understand Islam, think, oh, we could weaponize this by bringing it in to the east, to the west? Is that what you're saying? Or is that am I getting the right grips here? Or
that's all it's done. It's an expansionist religion. I've been to all sorts of wars with Muslims and been taken well care of, and I've got friends in Pakistan. I've traveled all over Pakistan, actually. So Islam, it's not a great thing to live amongst, especially if you're a woman. And there's only one form of Islam, really. I mean, it's Muhammad is the only interpretation of Islam. I mean, there are many fractures within Islam. I mean, between the Sunni and the Shia. But it's the Persians, they're not Arabs, and they weren't Islamic. That was something that was forced upon them as well, and so they're kind of captured in that world. And there's many divisions within Iran. I mean, Iran is more than just Persian people. A lot of these nations are fractured because they're different ethnic groups all kind of forced into one living space. But the Persians are Zoroastrians. I mean, they're a great people and a very ancient culture that predates Christianity, predates Judaism, predates them all, really. So we're here. It's just Islam is part of that fracturing process. So the Fabians have to create a strategy of tension and organize chaos in order to take it to the next level. And of course, the next level is as Kissinger points out in his last book, it's a corporate technocracy. That's how you're going to hold your one world order socialist dictatorship. So that corporate technocracy has kind of been rolled out in places like China with the social credit score and facial recognition. And so all these things, it's all Silicon Valley. Everything that's been rolled out in China is created in Silicon Valley. I was there when they were doing it. So, you just got to focus on that. It's the central banks. You've got to study the history of money. Some of the books I've told you about, which is well known in academia. But the purpose of academia is to gatekeep the truth about the present, about history, and about the trajectory of the future, likewise political class and with mainstream media. So it's just, you've got to understand the esoteric aspect that drives the central banks. So we have to have this perpetual blood sacrifice, whether it be through wars or through abortion. There just has to be this constant sacrifice of humanity, inside or outside of the womb. And that's the kind of the esoteric aspect, but the architecture that is the tool for bringing about, debt. The central banks are all about creating debt. You have to create debt because that's the only. So all nations are in debt to it, and so materialism and the whole stuff. But it's esoteric. But the central banks are key. So the only politicians you need to listen to are the ones that are saying the global monetary system, the central banks, the Bank of International Settlements, or the City of London, or Wall Street, the Federal Reserve, the whole world has to look at we have to have a global conference on debt. We have to look at the central bank, the central banking cartel. It's a cartel. Are deeply disturbing people. I mean, these are the lowest form of life. They have somehow over centuries, over millennia, have managed to worm their way into the commanding heights of all nations using their secret societies, and yeah,
when,
the international. And that's it.
When or was it decades ago? When did they see Islam as something that they could then bring over and weaponize?
Well, it was more than it created. It was more it created for that purpose. You know, as Angel Gabriel spoke to some illiterate, you know, trader in a cave, and maybe that's true. I don't know. It's quite the story. I mean, it's an important book to read. You know, you study the Hadith, and you know, peace be upon all Muslims, peace be upon everyone in the world. But you study the Hadith, you know, study the Quran, and these are really just a cut and paste from the Old Testament and the Babylonian Talmud.
No, they're not. I'm sorry, Michael, but that's absolute gibberish. Some of it is 100%.
It's a lot of it.
The gospel does not state to go around killing anyone.
No, but the good bits in the Quran.
The Torah also does not state to go around actively killing people. Islam is the only religion in.
I'm saying
Islam is the only religion in the world that does do that. It labels everyone that's not Muslim as a kafir.
There's a lot of beautiful things in the Quran, and where did they come from? And so I'm just saying, if you study both, if you look at the Hadith and look at the surahs and look at the
Trust
Quran,
me, I have been doing such.
And there's a lot of beautiful things in there. Okay, but it's.
Could you name me some?
Just
I don't from the Bible or the Talmud, wouldn't it?
There's a lot of beautiful.
Exactly.
There's even there's beautiful stuff in Sharia law, but it's collectively it's not a good thing. And of course, the best people to talk to are people who left it and have got out of and some of them were very, very devout Muslims, and then of course they woke up and a lot of them did embrace one of the other Abrahamic faiths, Christianity.
Sharia law is all about death, though, isn't it? Well, a lot of Sharia law is punishable by death. I mean, some of it is just ridiculous.
And you can't have Islam without Sharia law. I mean, Sharia law is Islam.
That's both the Sunni and the Shias.
It's not a good thing. But don't forget, a lot of people are born into it and they're captured in it, and it's a very dangerous thing to try and leave. So, you know, that's why I was
just confused there, Michael, where you said, even like Sharia law, some of it's beautiful. I'm like, well, I'll draw the line and I disagree with you there.
Well, I mean,
give us an example, Michael.
Well, I'm not going to just
I did have some.
You'll find some lines you go, oh, well, that's not too bad.
No. You're the one stating that there are some things that are beautiful, but then you're not prepared to give us an example.
Well,
I can give you multiple examples of where Sharia is not beautiful at all.
Once again, we're getting distracted. Islam isn't the issue. Islam was brought here for a purpose. All you have to do is reverse engineer. How did it end up here? So that's where the debate needs to be. What are we going to do about it? And because it's an expansionist religion, they won't willingly go back. It's because of jihad, and I've been in combat with people who deeply believe that if they get killed fighting the jihad, the exterior jihad, the actual one where you're physically attacking folk or blowing yourself up or whatever, if you die in that, if that process kills you, you're instantly going to get these 72 wives and a palace full of jewels and wine for the rest of time. So, and that's
there's actually nothing that states that they get 72 females. It states that they get 72
virgins.
Pearls. No, pearls is the word that's used.
Well, 70,
there's nothing that's
and 70 of them come from hell, right? I'm not sure where the other two come from.
Well, this is the question. So men are guaranteed to go to Jahannam, which is their version of heaven. There is nothing, no guarantee whatsoever that females get to heaven. So where are all these 72 wives per one man coming from?
It's kind of mad,
Think about it.
So that's why it's a difficult.
And you get an endless penis, penis. So I don't know how that works.
Well, because we come from a civilization that was really founded on Greek philosophy and the Christian faith, okay, and where reason is, and that's all Greek philosophy is this perpetual debate about what is good, what is true, what is real, and so it's hard to have that kind of debate within Islam, and it can actually cost you your life. So we always get back to but how did it get here? Not like what is it about, but how did it get here and why was it brought here? That's a more important thing to look at, because they want us to, and that's where they want this clash, and they're engineering it. I mean, the secret societies will engineer a clash between Islam and Judaism. Islam and Christianity. That's what's going on right now. So they're creating this strategy of tension and this organized chaos in order to bring about this big clash, and there'll be false flags and there'll be all sorts of stuff, so that they can get into the next level, which is for your own safety. You're going to have to accept the digital ID, and then your central bank digital currency. So that's why Islam, and that's why this tension is being accelerated right now, and the balkanization of towns and of countries in Europe.
Mike,
because
can I just ask you a quick question? Let's suppose what you're saying is true, that Islam, sorry, it's not Islam, it's Islam. Say let's take your hypothesis. Islam was brought to the West. Say Islam is successful in dominating and overthrowing the West. How on earth do the Fabian society actually benefit from that? Because once everyone's Islamic, do you really think they're going to give up the world for some Fabian society? No, they're going to be the first on their hit list. How are you going to overcome a whole world full of Muslims that want to do things their way, and the Fabian society is supposed to somehow shift their point of view? I don't see it. It doesn't make any sense to me. So could you give me maybe your interpretation of how you think that would
I'm
work
not sure
out?
that they're thinking about it all the time. Who knows how it'll work out? But if you can get everybody with their digital ID, it makes it an awful lot easier to kind of control people.
I'm going to bring two more, Derek and Jake.
Your social credit score as well.
I'm just going to bring them up, Michael. I'm just going to bring two more people up, but I just want you to notice I did bring up the Sharia law here, just so you could have a look, just to give you an idea. But I need to get rid of that so I can bring two people up. So let me get rid of that and bring up Dr. Jake and also Derek.
Hey, Jake.
So,
hey, how you doing?
Hey, Jake. How you doing? How you doing?
Good afternoon. How are we all?
Good. So there you go. But I don't want to be on too long because I've got stuff to do. But that was it. Anyway, good to see you, Jake. Send me an email anytime. But so it's just focus on where did Islam come from, and how do you get rid of it? It'd be an interesting one. But it certainly didn't invade Europe. It was brought here, and the boats still keep on coming into England. So all your political parties are in on it. They're all complicit, and why they're complicit, who knows?
I don't agree with that. I'm sorry,
but it's an oligarchy. You don't have a genuine democracy in England anyway. You have an oligarchy. It's an oligarchy. And it's the same in America, and it's same over the West. It's the oligarchs they run it, and you could say in England maybe for centuries the oligarchs have been there. So
I think that there's a good point about the Fabian society, but I don't think that we should overplay their hand though, because it hasn't all been their way. There is pushback against them. Thatcher, for example, was a constant thorn in their side. Would be as well. So I think that I think that their importance was mostly in the earlier days and primarily following the Second World War up until about 1970. I think that then they were definitely at the peak of their powers. And I think they then sort of waned a bit. And then when Blair came in, I think that there's a second wind for a different type of Fabianism, which is what we're seeing at the moment. I don't know if you'd agree with that, Michael.
Oh yeah, these things they morph as they go along, and because they're dedicated to victory and success. So, but the end game is always the one world order socialist dictatorship.
But if they use Islam to do that, then it's going to be a one world order that's governed by Islam. It's not going to be governed by the Fabian society. How are you supposed to shift a whole world that has one perspective, being Islam, if Islam is successful, to then being Fabian? That's what I'm asking you. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I can understand from your perspective, the whole bring them here, then that they can then pit them against us. That then gives them the right to say, oh, look, there's a problem. We need digital ID, blah, blah, blah. But if Islam takes over the whole world, how does that benefit the society of the Fabians? It wouldn't. They wouldn't be able to control them.
Yeah, but the Fabians are just a tool, aren't they? The Fabians aren't running things. The Fabian society is just a tool of the central banks. That's all.
Can I add something to the model here, Michael, if you don't mind? Instead of looking at one global government or global governance, what if instead, at the moment, we have instead economic blocs who form a centralized government that might aspire towards a global government? You think that would be perhaps more accurate of where we are at the moment?
Yeah, but for me, yeah.
Well, I like the idea of a global governance on some issues, particularly on exploitation of resources from beneath the Earth's surface, whether it be beneath the oceans or beneath the ground. And I think because it's as you telescope the trajectory of the current human lifestyle into the future, it's just not sustainable. And so there has to be some kind of collective understanding of resource extraction. And you talk about Thatcher. I mean, she just kind of privatized everything. She sold everything off, so she was a tool as well. But it's but I think there has to, and I think some global agreement on the ending of all wars and aggression between nations forever. I mean, that has to be seen as well. So I think there has to be some global body where we can all agree on these things. But the United Nations is not that body. That the United Nations is not set up to make a better world at all.
If that's what we're looking at aiming to create, and you want to eradicate war, most wars are about territory and resources. So how are you going to be able to balance and create an equilibrium across all of the different nations when they've got different allocations of resources?
It's a great question.
Competition with one another.
Yeah, that's why you've got to get the good, the wise, and the virtuous, because the wise will be able to sit down and look at. They know this anyway. They've been crying out since the 1920s. If you look at geological economists, and so it's when you get and the good, the wise, and the virtuous are in every ethnic group. They're in every racial group. There are these men and women that really do have great wisdom and can work together. So it's just getting a global council of people of that ilk.
I agree with that.
These global councils, these round table groups, and these international bodies are not a representation of the good, the wise, and the virtuous of humanity at all. They're actually the opposite. They're just these kind of low bag people who have been put there in place by the oligarchs and by the central banks, and because they won't, none of these institutions will actually go up against that system.
I just think that if a state, for example,
think this and that.
Thank you. That was a really valuable input. That was well worth waiting for.
How quick were my reactions, though? How quick was that, though? I just boom. I'm
like
a ninja.
What I would
That
say
was
to
pure
that, Michael,
wizardry. Anyway, to carry on. Sorry, Jake.
very good. I would say if you had a state that was abundant in a particular resource where there was a scarcity, I think that country would then act in its own best interests, and that would therefore skew the balance, and that would then take place with other countries and their resources too, because I don't think that what you would have to do to enable what you're suggesting is, I think the resources would have to therefore be of an equal value, which you'd have to begin would be zero, and I don't think people would be prepared to accept that.
Yeah, I think it's just it's education, isn't it? I think once people, read some of this academic work and listen to people who've dedicated their whole life to, to researching this, and maybe you could preface the whole thing, but yeah, I think just read. I mean, you're an academic guy. You like to read, so just and get back to me on this one. Just read. I mean, there's so many books on the subject, but read Blip by Christopher Clugston, and you can get it on Amazon. It's a cheap book. I've got a copy somewhere.
There was a question I did have for you regarding your
read that. I mean, read that book, Dr. Jake, and see what you think, because that's regardless of your philosophical or religious bent, truth doesn't care about your feelings. So if you just read that book and got that, because whatever goes on, we all live here. We live on this living system, this earth, this planet.
Michael,
I had a question about.
So study what they're saying and what they've been saying for over 100 years. And I think when that becomes common knowledge, I think the good, the wise, and the virtuous will be invited to take over.
Well, I think Jake's got a question for you, Michael.
Yeah, it was when you're looking at this system of points and this philosophy that you have spent a lot of time working on, and obviously have invested a lot of yourself in that, in doing so as well, I'm sure. Are you looking at something that is like an abstract ideal for what you think or what you would like the world to actually be? Or is it more of a solution to the problems that we've got right now? Because the two concepts obviously are very different when we're looking at what we want to achieve.
Yeah, they start from different places.
Well, and what you have right now, you won't be able to achieve anything, because you're living in a collapsing civilization that is fractured beyond repair, and you're trying to fix it with the same process that got you into it in the first place, democracy. So you're not going to be able to fix this with. I mean, half the country doesn't vote anyway, and the ones that do aren't really reading, and they're kind of it's about emotion, and it's about what do they get out of it, but it's not thinking of 1,000 years into the future. So nobody's thinking that way, but we need to think 1,000 years into the future.
So proposal is a replacement philosophy, then, is that right? So
the which
you want a replacement philosophy for what we've got now that's more humanist, essentially.
Well, yeah, one that's more real world, and there are fractures within our society. People say, "Oh, you have to integrate." Well, you can't integrate.
I agree. Where I'm not sure though is when we're talking here whether or not we're talking about something that's entirely abstract, or whether we're talking about something that actually would be put into real life place and could happen right now.
Yeah,
I think you'd have to tear the whole system down first.
Well,
tear the whole system down, and then you can rebuild it.
Well, you can only rebuild it when if at the commanding heights you've got the instrument. I mean, the commanding heights you basically got psychopaths and sexual deviants that are doing great harm. I mean, these people are not well. When you look into these characters and what they've been saying, and how they think, like Peter Thiel of Palantir. I mean, listen to some of the stuff he talks about. I mean, bless their hearts and peace be upon all of them. I don't have any ill feeling about them. I think they don't deeply love humanity. They don't deeply love nature. They don't deeply love they're not in awe of creation. They're just obsessed with control, and the means justifies the ends. So
Well, I think what you've
Sounds
done,
sounds
Michael,
like something else I know.
I think what you're trying to do, Michael, is very noble, and I think it shows to me that you're putting in all of the sort of research you've done, all the experiences throughout your life that have shaped you, as well as looking at philosophies that go back to the ancient times, and you've been looking at what you think works best at a universal level, which is how we should be thinking about things, and that is a good way and a good place, obviously, to start thinking about society. And I think that that's really, really good. The one part that I would say there is a flaw, though, with that plan is, and what Ace just touched on, is we're at a point now where we need a system reset. You're proposing a system reset. I think that the missing bit is how we get from one place to another. And I think Ace's point is that requires a rupture of some form. And that usually involves serious civil disorder or war or a bloody revolution. And I just wondered how that would factor into the idea that you have.
Well, I'd rather not, because when it falls apart, it does go tribal, and they'll, once they collapse the critical infrastructure and take away the supply chain, and people, the intelligence services will tell you you're only 3 days away from mass slaughter and cannibalism, and I mean, once you cut off the supply chain, or just switch off the power for a week, just switch off the electricity for a week. And you'll see that what the veneer of civilization is very thin, when you take away these things, and so they can very easily engineer that. So I'd rather just work on education. Just let's look at the future for humanity. If it's to be a post-industrial world or very limited kind of industry, and what kind of industry, I think we should maintain an industry of at least communication, so the world can speak to itself, and maybe there are other industries we can keep on going, but the arms industry and the creation of weapons of mass destruction and all that, I mean, I think it's just, I think just start with we live on this earth, right, that supports all of life, and it's so polluted, and species extinction and the living systems of the planet, I mean, all these things are so greatly under strain and actually collapsing.
Should we look off-world?
We just have to think we can fix this, but maybe I think once people realize there'll never, ever be another war, and we're going to surround ourselves with governments that are really clearly committed to that, we can then actually start rebuilding our world and start planting forests and actually getting the thing back going again, and voluntarily deindustrializing, because we're going to be forced to deindustrialize. But I think it's a greater wisdom when we.
I just can't see it while Islam exists.
Well,
because they will not allow it.
Well,
never mind.
They won't be allowed.
Never mind with the whole Islam thing.
Then Islam doesn't want to leave, but it won't be allowed to leave anyway. Any migrant from outside of Europe that's being dumped in Europe, regardless of the crime they commit, they will not be deported, regardless of the crime. And that's in the Marrakesh Compact, in that 177 page document, which you should read. But it's no matter what crime they commit, they will not be deported. Right? They will not be deported, and they know that. And I speak to these people. They can't believe their luck. They can literally arrive here, be given the red carpet treatment, under no pressure to ever work again, and be given everything.
And what is the justification?
And if they want to start business, they can. Of course, they can work, and they'll be given priority, of course, with DEI, and even they'll be given interest-free business loans for 5 years to start a business.
Michael, I don't know this document, and I wondered. This obviously sounds like a bit of a loophole that's in this document, and I wondered what is the actual justification or reasoning that is behind them not being punished for this, or what is the actual loophole itself? Is it a human rights issue, or? Well,
no, they decided in 2018 that Hungary was the only country that pushed back, but all European nations were there in Marrakesh Morocco in 2018. It was a UN migration conference, and they agreed that the European nations or the European people would literally be displaced and replaced by sub-Saharan African, North African, and Middle Eastern migrants. And it says in the document that the purpose of the mainstream media and the political class and the academy, the school systems, would be to frame that displacement and replacement of us Europeans living in our ancestral homeland as a positive thing, because these people are escaping war and famine, which we know is bullshit.
Does it mention anything about studies, for example, looking at sub-Saharan genetics and the correlations with IQ levels, for example, and perhaps querying whether the replacement would perhaps bring down the IQ of the European nations?
Well,
it would.
I mean, culture
You've
is...
only got to look at Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iraq. The interbreeding is so high that in itself has lowered their IQ.
Well, as a government, you wouldn't. That is something you'd have to really think about and plan for, isn't it?
Well, that's what I mean. One of the many purposes of feminism has resulted in highly intelligent women not having children.
Or could it be?
Yeah, I've chosen not to have children, but that's only because I really don't see the world at the moment as being something that I'd want to bring a child into. My child might have a relatively okay life, but their children won't, for sure. Not with the trajectory of the world at the moment. But there's just one question, Michael. Your whole, if that all of that could be enacted and we could get, the world, everyone's sharing the resources and no one's, claiming this is mine and this is mine, blah, blah, blah. The only problem I see with that is it's still dependent on the population of the world agreeing on everything, which has never happened in the entirety of human history.
Well, you're going to see it once again, back to, regardless of your philosophical views or religious views, the trajectory is for a post-industrial world.
Well, I have a hypothesis for you, Michael, that might fit with what you're saying, which was, I saw this morning, I don't know if you've seen it, there's a clip from the New Culture Forum with Rafe Hadel-Nanku, and they're discussing how apparently Trump is going to announce in the early summer the existence of extraterrestrial life. Now, if that is acknowledged, that's a perfect cause for a permanent crisis, isn't it? Much like climate is. Could that be the sort of umbrella that a plan such as yours might be able to be enacted, where we all are under an external threat?
Well, the external threat will be created by the by the oligarchs, and of course Donald Trump is just a compromised asset of the intelligence community. That's why he's the president. I work for a US congressman and a presidential candidate, and trust me, the whole thing is tragic theater. I mean, it really is.
That is a plausible playbook for them, then.
Oh yeah. But they've been talking about that a long time ago.
Scientists would argue against that, and the only reason for there's a scientist. He's got the surname. I think he's Japanese or Korean. Kiachu or I can't remember what his name is, but he basically says there's like three levels to society, and for you to become spacefaring, you need to be at level 3, which is where you've abandoned the principles of war, and that you're then looking to principles of sustainability. So for an alien race to be able to travel just between one star and another star, we're not talking one end of the galaxy to the other, just between one star and another, that society would have had to have reached a level of innovation that it would have moved beyond war. The hypothesis behind it is that it would be the equivalent of giving a gun to a baby. The baby would end up killing itself because it doesn't know the power of the gun. If you give technology, if a race is advanced enough to even be able to travel between two stars, that society has reached levels that are far beyond anything that we could comprehend. They're not here to start wars. They would be here to, well, uplift humanity. They would have
Well, that would
their
fit,
society wouldn't be able to get to that point unless it had
that would
surpassed.
fit with Michael's ideas, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but
Because
how would that be portrayed as a perpetual threat when science itself argues against that idea? For society to be spacefaring, it has to have abandoned certain ideas such as war, because otherwise the technology that they develop, they'd end up wiping themselves out before they got between one star and another.
Well, I'm
So
sure
science itself argues against the fact that it could be used as perpetual a perpetual fear to control humanity. So I don't quite see that myself, but
could be
I
used
mean,
temporarily.
everything's plausible, I guess.
well, Tesla can make a very, I'm sure they can, and there's all sorts of robotics companies. I'm
Yeah,
sure they
could
can very easily make, because they make them for films, but they
could
can
be
make
done,
they can make a very scary robot, and you'll be convinced, and you'll be, the media will convince you that it's a real alien, and it's
I think all of the
it's all they can convince you that they've just, there's a million person community being built on Mars, and you wouldn't know any difference.
I think every crisis is framed as permanent, but that doesn't mean that they actually are. They're only permanent until the next one comes along. So perhaps something could be staged that could allow certain things to happen, and then another, in say 5, 10 years, 20 years, another crisis will come along that could be perhaps a different race of external being or something like that. That's a possibility. But I think before we get
with 9/11, they've done it with all these things, whether it be the Gulf of Tonkin or
absolutely Manchuria,
all of it. I mean, there's all of these false flags. Napoleon being beaten by Wellington, and anyway, all these, they're all false flags, aren't they?
Burning Rome.
And the one that in New York and Pennsylvania and the Pentagon, 20 odd years ago, people believe that, so it's very easy to convince the masses. If they saw it on television, it must be true.
There's two good examples of this that we've seen recently, actually, and both are to do with Islam. Firstly, there was the one where there was the footage of a mosque being set on fire that was presented as a far-right terror attack. We then discovered it was actually Muslims doing it to themselves.
Yeah.
And then there was another one a couple of weeks ago where someone, I think it was Manchester, where they said they went into a synagogue and were armed with an axe and were planning a massacre. And it was presented as some far-right terrorism, but actually it was not only a Muslim, it was a black guy as well. So it wasn't even a racial aspect either. So two examples there of where an event has been twisted and tailored to meet a particular specific objective, which I wouldn't say that those two are necessarily false flags, but they're certainly in the same family.
Radical Islam is a weapon. It's a weapon of the intelligence community anyway. I mean, it's if you look at the relationship between British or Israeli or an American intelligence community and their relationship with radical Islamic groups, there's a massive paper trail to go along with that.
I want to ask you about that. Do you think that they've got to grips with them? Do you think they've got a handle on Islam and they've got it under control and it's just us?
No,
we would never know that, and they don't want it. They don't want it to be under control. It's well, I just stick to the real future, which is humanity at some point, unless it wants to be for the rest of time, just killing itself, and then when the industrialization does come to an end, we're stuck with all these. Just watch the series Chernobyl, and these technologies.
Yeah, it's a brilliant series.
But we've got so many toxins and that need to be stored forever. What are we going to do about that? So I think whilst we have industrialization, the last kind of phase mass industrialization should really be focused on cleaning up the land, cleaning up the ocean, recycling, getting everything as back to be used. I mean, there are houses even in Iran. There are buildings that are over 2,000 years old. So,
Yeah, right. What do we do though, Michael? When, let's say, for example, that Wiz, in typical fashion, he doesn't want to play along with your game. He wants to put his trash in the sea. So what do you do with him?
Yeah, once again, the good, the wise, and the virtuous will work it all out. And if he needs to be isolated and restrained, then we might have to do that. But he would be restrained in a very civilized kind of education and labor facility. But I think
took a step further forward and he said, not only am I going to do this, I'm going to come and take your resources as well.
Yeah, well, that's why humanity's got to get to this place. It's once again, it's the next step for human evolution, which is to actually become the best that we can be, and the best that we can be walk among us. And there are many examples around the world of what humanity could be. And I'm sure you know people within your own friend group that are truly, genuinely wonderful people in every way. And selfless people, always thinking of others before themselves, and that number will grow. And it's going to be an exciting few decades. But I think good wins in the end, because nature wins in the end.
What if I put it this way, as a question? So thousands and thousands of years back, we realised with our rival tribes that to begin with, we would just kill them because they were the rivals. But being humans, instead of deciding to work together, instead we decided to exploit the people that we'd beaten. That seems to me that's part of human nature, is to try and exploit someone that's seen as a rival. So how do we get rid of that part of our psyche and our psychology?
Well, that's where the international money power got going with its monopolization of slavery and of precious metals and silver before gold. And so it's that deep unwillingness to see that divine spark in everybody. And I think once we get that, and that's in the DNA as well, we've unraveled that. There is a divine spark in everybody, and it says.
Do you think that then, in that case, what will need to happen is not necessarily a rupture, but a rapture? So something divine.
A global awakening and a shared vision that we can and we will have to become peaceful again, and allow, and I think the separation of races is actually about the love and respect of all races, and so that each group in its ancestral homeland now has a mission, which is to restore their ancestral homeland and not to live beyond its capacity to feed a group, and so it's going to take generations to kind of get this going. And I think courtship is so important. Is that when people come together, and there's always consequences of sexual behavior which could produce a child. And I think I think any intimate relationship outside of kind of a family group or family intention to raise a child with two parents, I think that should be discouraged, because there are so many unwanted children who are raised by single parents or aborted. I mean, so I think because it's like when it's that divine spark. It's that divine spark within you is now producing another person, another.
I agree with you that these are all good aims. The bit that I want to focus on at the moment, though, is what we do with people that don't share those values right now. How do we get them on board?
Jake, we can look to. Can I just interject and say one thing? We can look to the end of World War II as an example of how the Germans, the moderate Germans, were put into mass re-education. That literally happened at the end of World War II. They were re-educated into a less go out and overtake the world, into a more friendly way of yeah, more friendly, compliant way of living.
Yeah.
So we have had examples of this in the past. You can look to the end
Yeah.
of World War II for that as an
And
example.
also, you're quite right there about that, Ace. We also had, which would fit with what Michael's suggesting, we also had the creation of the United Nations afterwards as well, where there is a sort of agreement amongst the world nations that we don't want this to happen again. So there is a precedent for things like this happening, but as I mentioned before, that needed to have a rupture, and in that case, World War II was a hugely destructive rupture that could have really have ended the world effectively as we know it. Somehow we managed to get through it, and I think that in order to enact your plan, Michael, we're going to have something of that level really to get us there. I mean, we've discussed these permanent crisis and false flag operations, but I think it's going to take something major in order to get to the change that you would like, because I don't think at the moment enough people across the world have got the same value system.
No, as long as you've got Netflix and free pornography and
yeah, exactly,
cheap wine, it's I mean, we're so detached from the real world, really. But we have this ability now to, we can see the whole world. We can communicate, from around the world. So it is an exciting time, because the forces of darkness and the forces of light are kind of coming to a head, right?
actually.
But and they, they're very keen. The only way they can really keep on going until nature does take it back, I guess, is with this corporate technocracy and digital ID and social credit score and central bank digital currencies, and that's that's their trajectory. That's what Peter Thiel. That's what these.
Yeah,
these.
No, I agree. But when you used to work abroad, did you find there that it was a bit of a culture shock sometimes?
No, not a shock, just different. I mean, I've managed to kind of blend in a lot of these places. I'd only be in for a week or two, sometimes months. But yeah, I can handle living with any culture, really. You just embrace it, and that people are happier when you seem comfortable, and eat the food that they eat. I mean, it might not be your favorite dish, but it's not killing them, and you'll be fine. No, I get on with all cultures, really. I mean,
you're universalist, I would say, in that regard. Do you believe that there are universal things that we all have in common?
Yeah, we do. I mean, we people like to meet other people from outside of their group, as long as they don't. I mean, I lived on the edge of an Apache reservation in Arizona, but the greeting of them, and I knew some Apache people. Of course, they've been ruined, and a lot of them are alcoholic or diabetic. Although the one particular one I knew he was a mechanic. He was a big guy with long black hair, straight black hair. But their greeting when you go onto their reservation is, how long are you staying? They want to know, are you staying for the night? Are you going to park up your van there for the night? So they want to know. And if you can't answer that, then you're going to have to, you'll be leaving. But if you
also have, by the same token, you could.
They want to know how long you're staying, because they've got children. They want to know why you're here.
Yeah, exactly. But you could have another tribe, for example, in a neighbouring county who might be completely hostile to anyone who's outsider.
Yeah, they want to know why you're staying and where you're staying and what you're going to be doing. And if you just say, I just like to park up my van by the river for a couple of nights, maybe 3 nights, and just kind of maybe swim in the river and stuff, and that's all I want to do. That, oh, fantastic, no worries. And we'll come down and have a beer with you or something, or maybe we'll take you to our home. And
it sounds great.
They see that you're not hostile. But if you say, well, I don't really know how long I'm staying, well, no, we need to know how long you're staying.
Yeah.
And whilst you're here, we give you
I understand that. I think that's a really lovely experience, and that's a great thing to have, and it's great. You have that respect for their culture. I think that's really good. But what if, say, in the next county, there was a tribe that were completely hostile to strangers, and you didn't know which tribe was which because you couldn't tell them apart just by looking at them? You didn't know where the boundaries were between the counties. Like, say you were walking along a riverside or something like that, how would you be able to bridge that cultural sort of divide and survive? Because you've got one side's very friendly, the other would probably kill you if you step on their land. How do you sort of balance that with
that's why it's important that nations and have clearly defined and protected borders. I think, you know, I'm not into open borders, but we have to have clearly defined borders of, you know, when you're
Quick question then.
when you're on someone else's land. But I think everyone should be welcome all over the world under circumstances. I think that would be my heart. I mean, it's in my 26-point plan, and it covers all of that. It covers borders. It covers, you know, people who can be there. You know, essential foreign guest workers. Or if you're going to be a resident there, then it has to be reviewed annually, and you have to be a well-behaved, self-supporting resident.
Okay, just a quick question, Michael. In regards to, it's going back to the resources again. If a nation is defined by living in a specific region, defined by borders, how are resources then in that region supposed to belong to the world? Because surely they belong to the nation that owns that land.
Well, that's what we're not really meant to own. I agree. I think you really enjoy
Run the land, own, whatever word you want to use. You know what I'm trying to get at.
Well, we're meant to be stewards. I think there's a great letter. I think you'd really the Chief Seattle. If you go on his the tribal website from Washington.
It's a beautiful speech, though.
A beautiful speech, man. And if the better one is on, because there's few people have written it, but it's on on his tribal website from the state of Washington. But it's a letter that he wrote to the president of the United States at the time, because they were trying to buy his tribal lands, and it'll bring you to tears. It's a beautiful letter, and one of the lines in there, you know, how can you buy something that you can't own? So, you know, we can't own the world, but we are to be stewards of it and to take care of it.
What I think Ace is saying, though, Michael, is, and I completely agree with you. That is an absolutely beautiful speech. Everyone should read it, particularly if you're English at the moment and you want to know about heritage. What I think Ace is trying to get at is the fact that you think that about resources, but let's suppose she doesn't. And so she doesn't want to play along with what you're doing. Then you've got a conflict between those two borders, haven't you? And how are you going to manage that conflict?
Which goes back to what I was saying. Michael's idea is pinned on everyone agreeing in the world that that's how they're going to behave. Sorry, but humans don't behave like that. We haven't behaved like that in the entirety of our history. It
would also abolish ownership of as well, which
kind of makes having a nation pointless, because a nation runs, owns, whatever word you want to use, split hairs. If you are a nation, you are stewarding a certain area of land. That area of land has its own resources. So again, the whole idea would be pinned on everyone in the world agreeing that we've got these resources here, you've got those resources there, but all of the resources belong to the world, but your borders are your own. I don't see how that would work.
Well, they don't all belong to the world, and don't forget, not all resources are renewable. Some are non-renewable, so those ones have to be taken. Like when they've gone, they're gone, and that's when the domino effect. Once some of these non-renewable resources disappear, you know, all these rare earth metals and a whole bunch of other stuff, it begins to collapse.
Nickel. We're already running out of nickel.
It collapses by itself anyway. So that's why we're at a point where human consciousness is changing, and it is changing, and it's.
I think you're right.
But if you don't have any children, you don't have a dog in the fight anyway. You don't have a stake in the future. So
in fact, I would take it a step further. I would say that about consciousness. I would say that there was a fundamental shift in consciousness after World War II, where
Sure.
the human race, certainly in the West, was completely transformed in ways that have never been seen before. In every aspect, from childhood, where you no longer had children going to work, instead you had them going into education, being indoctrinated into that system. You then had the creation through media of the teenager and the identity that can become associated with that. Then on top of that, you then had the sort of more white collar careers that have been encouraged ever since World War II. You had the breakdown of the family, the mother taking on roles outside the home. So the priorities that we used to have are no longer the same. Therefore, our consciousness has altered in its functioning.
Is that a lurcher or a greyhound?
The lurcher.
Yeah, she's gorgeous. Or
Her,
he.
her mother was a champion, and her mother caught 24 rabbits in an hour.
Wow.
Blimey.
So she's incredibly fast, and but she's the breed is her she's the kind of lurcher. They sleep about 20 hours a day. It's incredible. And
They're like me.
they're 40 miles. They're the fastest living mammal by weight and ratio on Earth. A cheetah's faster, but lurchers with their weight and speed ratio are the fastest things. But they're bred for her particular genetic cocktail is Whippet Greyhound and Staffordshire Bull Terrier, and she was bred for hunting deer. So in Ireland it's a traditional Irish hunting dog, and for hunting rabbits, and as a pack they hunt deer, and so yeah, she's a good hunter. And
I don't think I could catch one rabbit in 24 hours, let alone 24 rabbits
yeah,
in 1 hour.
oh,
Blimey.
their speed is awesome. Everyone, if we take her on the beach, I mean, they run so fast. People can't believe how fast your dog. But they can only run for about 5 minutes. Any dog will eventually catch them up. They just get burned out after about that. So as long as she gets a 5-minute mad run a day, and then they'll sleep. They'll sleep 20 hours a day. They're an incredible dog.
How old is she?
Has the next life then?
Oh, they're a wonderful breed. They're a lazy man's dog. That's what they're known as. They don't like. You'll never see them swimming. They do not like the wet. They do not like the rain. Yeah, they like to sleep and run. But they're very, very friendly. They're an incredible, lovely breed. So anyway, that's it. So get yourself a lurcher. So they are good.
Yeah, I'm all about Irish setters, me.
Oh, it's a beautiful breed as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had them in the family since I can remember.
I just wanted to pop on there. Really, it's just let's the Islamic things like, how did Islam get here? What do we need to do? And that's why I go a shared vision, a vision, which is on my McCarthyplan.com.
Michael, I'd really, really be interested if we could get a live going between the four of us and anyone else, obviously, who wants to join in, where we could sit and review these. Could we maybe organise that with Wiz, if you could pass him your email address in Streamlabs?
Yeah, because I just want it to be improved. I'm not attached to any of my points. It's like, okay, well, if you can come
I really, really would be interested to see it. 'Cause, I agree with you. We need to do something.
Yeah, it'll be fun. We can do that. And the only thing I'm attached to is my vision, my vision 2020. That I'm not going to change on that, because
Michael,
all my friends around the world love it.
How much sort of depth or pushback do you want? Do you want it general? Or do you want a hostile interrogation? Or
I just want a friendly debate and
just the stress testing, like we have today.
Stress testing is really important.
And with the idea of I mean, it helps if you read the history of money. All right, there's so many books on the history of money that academia knows about, but they don't. The BBC won't do any documentaries on it. But it's because that's all in the historical record. But reading Blip by Christopher Clugston is an essential read, and I think that just kind of helps you once you realise that all wars are rigged, right? Like the Second World War was just First World War Part 2. And the Treaty of Versailles was about creating the Second World War. And and you have to look at the Treaty of Versailles was just basically a bunch of bankers. But it's like, so once you get it, and because the academic, the historical record and contemporary data and academia can confirm, even AI can confirm that wars are basically bankers' wars. And once you
some
get
people
that,
would say that we're really in a post-war environment anyway, because we no longer have the great powers at war, and
it's been a world war for thousands of years. So they're always at war. They're always planning the next war or the next war after the next war. So it's a mindset that they just have to, because it's debt farming, but it's also esoteric and it's about blood sacrifice. But once you think, so all wars are rigged, and the planet is in a mess. Like we can't, these are truths, right? We can't fix the world with mass materialism and mass industrialization, which is why they want to rewild the world and put everybody in smart cities.
One thing that I would say, that to give you some advice here, that I think will help with your clarity, is I think all these ideas that you've got are very, very good. They're all very, very noble. You've obviously spent a lot of time researching it, and you know what you're talking about. But what I think is that there are too many ingredients in the dish at the moment. And I think if you narrow the focus down to just one or two things at a time, then I think that will really help you to get the most out of your points. And for me at the moment, the problem with the model is how you get to the stage where you can have your model government in place. And I think getting to there at the moment is more important than what happens afterwards, because it's a crisis at the minute. But I think that trying to get too many things in at once is going to be really difficult. Like, obviously, one of the things you want to do is get rid of the banking system. Quite rightly, it is abhorrent. It is extraction. It should go. It doesn't serve anyone really any purpose. Doesn't do anything good for mankind. So that should go. But what you need to do is say how we're going to get rid of that before we can then look at what to do afterwards. Right. Does that kind of do you see what I mean?
Yeah, totally. And you're Dr. Jake, so I just want to crowdsource all of this. I just thought I put a vision and I put 26 points down as kind of a template, somewhere to start. And now I want everybody to kind of rip it apart and make it better. I'm not attached to any point. It's just like, this is a good point, and a lot of it from my experience of being in a lot of combat, but also friends of mine around the world who've been in the same thing. And so I've got Africans and Asians and Arabs and Jewish people, friends of mine all around the world that like it so far. And some of them have been able to kind of manipulate it and change it a little bit, so it got improved in a few other points. And that's it. So I'm not, just please rip it apart and just look at each point. And I've got 35,000 words that I'm writing. I've almost finished my book. So every single one of these points there's a whole chapter of information why it is.
Whole thesis that you've got there. That's a whole thesis.
Yeah,
35,000.
Yeah, it's 35. Yeah, it might end up being, I don't know, 45,000 words eventually, but and each chapter will have 2 pages that are blank, so that people can kind of write their comments and improvements, and there'll be a website where you can. And so I think it will just naturally crowdsource itself.
I see. So this is a proper community project, then. It's not a vision.
Oh no, I've got the 26 points and I've got the vision and 26 points down, and now it's time to make them better and rip it apart. And so I'm not. None of this is set in stone. It's just like I thought, let me get it out.
That's what I was thinking, that this was your vision for the future. I didn't.
No. Oh no, it's an AI at the moment. AI Grok 4 went through all the points and it gave it 9.5 out of 10.
Yeah, but do you trust Grok 4?
Well, actually, it gave it 9 out of 10. Well, I mean, it's not.
Grok can be pretty stupid. When asked, a guy asked Grok, so I want to take my car to the car wash. The car wash is 5 minutes down the road. I was wondering whether it would be quicker to walk to the car wash or drive to the car wash. and Grok 4 said, walk to the car wash to have your car washed.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? There are flaws in its logic. But, you know,
But yeah,
it
for reviewing
certainly
the
is
document,
able,
though, yes,
yeah,
it can
for some
speak
things,
to
it would far exceed what humanity would be able to do. Just
And
a
that-
quick one, by the way, because a lot of people don't realize this. War has had some benefits for humankind. It has, and that's indisputable. The internet would not exist without World War II.
Or
Period.
the mobile phone.
Hello, Slim.
Can I
Basically.
might not be able to stay on here long. Can I ask make a couple of points while I'm
Please.
here? I do have the little one running about in the background, right? I've listened to Michael, and his view of the society that he wants is wonderful. It is absolutely wonderful, and I would give my life to create that. And I mean that. I would actually give my life if I thought it would create that society. But I've not heard not one solution or one direction that would actually get us there. What I keep hearing is a wish list of wonderful things. And in fact, these wonderful things, I would bet 7 out of the 8 billion people would actually ask for it. But solutions are very difficult. And I'll give you a good example. I once had a bar of chocolate. And I split it down the middle and gave it to my friend. He immediately stuffed his face with his bit of chocolate because he was hungry, right? Half an hour later, I took my half a bar out of my pocket and went to eat it. And he said to me, and I quote, "Gonna geezer, but I'm starving." I says, "You had yours." And he started an argument with me because I ate my half a bar of chocolate.
Right.
He fell out with me over this bar of chocolate, which was never his, that he had 50% of. And knew that wasn't enough. Now, that man's also a gambler, and that's what's wrong with utopia. You divide it up evenly, right? You divide the whole universe up evenly. Everybody gets a galaxy. Everybody gets their own planet. Everybody gets their own wee solar system, whatever. Then somebody's shouting to one solar system to the next. I bet you 3 stars and a gravity well that I can piss further than you. And somebody's got 2 galaxies. Somebody's got 4 solar systems and 3 gravity wells, and that guy over there, he's needing aid because he's given it all away. Right? So in this utopia, communism, then we're oppressing him because he's got less than us. So we have to slice off a wee bit of ours to get him. Right? Because everybody's to get equity. We've all to have an equal share. And then the same guy, because he's a gambler, he's got it all back again. He's sitting 5 minutes later, bored, despite having a utopia, several universes at his disposal. He's saying to somebody, "See the 2 flies sitting in that wall? I bet you the one on the right flies away first." And he loses again. And we, the rest of the galaxy, we have to slice off a bit of our pie and get to that tosser. It can never be created. In any utopia, we create a utopia, right? And I'm a git. I am simply a git. I come along and I say, "Hey mate, see your wee bit of lawn there, your field. That's better for an orchard than the slightly rocky bit I've got with a hill and the water supply isn't as good. So me and my 2 mates that I've formed an alliance with over here, we're going to beat the crap out of you and we're going to take it off you. Now, you can leave and become a refugee, or we will simply do you right in. You, your family, and all your progenitors. You're done for. Now make a choice." That's the reality of a human being.
Which goes back to my point on Michael's plan is pivotal or pinned upon every human on the planet agreeing to the same system, which I'm sorry, humanity has never in the entirety of our history agreed on everything. All that we agree on is that 2 things.
They have to agree with it and be satisfied with a lot in the first place.
Slim,
There's only two
I'm in
things.
alliance with you.
Well, I still have a lot of faith. I think humanity will get there, and I just yeah, and I've seen the best of people and I've seen the worst of people, and I've worked with both, and
can you offer one solution or one step forward?
well, I think just kind of each one teach one. I think there's a big thing, and you know the kingdom of heaven is within. So I think when we make a change in ourselves, the world suddenly becomes a better place. As you personally, as you evolve.
That's true, Michael. But that change isn't going to be the same for everybody.
No, it's not at all. But but all you can do is work on yourself and help people that are in the same process, and we hold one another in that space, that we don't. We pursue excellence, and we don't elevate mediocrity in ourselves or in our circle. And so that's all we can do. And so, you know, we just become a light to one another, become a light in your community.
No, I agree with all of those.
There was a man about 2,000 years ago come up with that solution, and they nailed him to a lump of wood.
What would you do, Slim, if you had the chance to make a solution right now? What do you think's the priority?
It depends on my starting position, whether I was like Supreme Emperor of the Galaxy or no. And my solutions wouldn't be soft, and we wouldn't all be singing around a campfire. I'm sorry, there is only one solution. There is only one solution that would get you to that position. The Russians knew it, the Germans knew it, every tribe in Africa knew it, and that's what it would come to. What you have to do is get a very small, very select group of people who agree on a thing, and then they wipe out everybody else. There is no way you get to that position without it becoming an absolute pogrom.
So going down the road of eugenics?
Well, eugenics in a sense that the ants try and wipe out the termites.
Yeah, this would
in a sense of societal views and a form of eugenics in societal views.
Well, eugenics in societal views in the way that the termites deal with the ants and the ants deal with the termites. There isn't a middle ground. There isn't any suggestion that they're going to be reasonable and decent about it, and we're going to negotiate it, and we're going to discuss it, and we're going to come to an agreement. The only way we would ever get to that position is for a group. See, the Americans are the superpower at the moment, right?
Yeah.
So they could decide, if they get some sort of crazy mental tyrant, I know they keep saying that Trump's a crazy mental tyrant. If they get some absolutely crazy mental tyrant involved, and he says, wait a minute, we're sick of fighting with these people over oil. We need cobalt, we need nickel, we need silver for the production of this, we need gold for that. Who's go or the Africans are going to zap, button. The Russians, what about the Russians? Well, they've got rare earth metals and they've got this and they've got all this landmass, you know what I mean? They go all the way from China to Finland, nuke them hard, press. And then what? Who else is going to? The Aussies are whimpering. What? They've got a lot of gold nickel out there and they're saying they don't want to give it up for nothing. The Aussies, send out to Poseidon, zap. And that's where it would come to. There is only one solution, let's face it, and nobody's wanting to do that either. Michael?
Well, and of course I don't. Yeah, I've just been around an awful lot of dead bodies, my friend, and so I'm not I'm not against violence. I just think that there's a place for it when you're protecting your friends and your family.
Michael, what I think he's pointing out there is not to do with violence. I think it is pointing out human nature is fundamentally flawed.
Well, I think when collectively what we've allowed psychopaths, and we've allowed a particular class of people to dominate human affairs, and that I think when you can reverse that, when you get a different kind of person in the commanding heights, of your nation, that we will be able to resolve things peacefully.
It comes back to how. Can you
And-
come
and-
up with how?
Your political class is not a representation of the best of your people, but I think those things are changing. I think all the things that Ben Habib is saying and Rupert Lowe are saying, you know, there is some. I think there are the good, the wise, and the virtuous are kind of percolating their way to the top, but they have to. I think they. But at the moment, I don't see a vision for them. They don't have a vision for the world, and I'd love to chat to them, but I doubt they'll speak to me. But I've got to go, and as you know, brother, the Scotsman there, you know, our greatest achievement are our children. So you know, you've got children, and I need to be with my children, and so that's it. And so all what we're doing in making the world a better place, we're not just thinking of our children, but we're thinking of all the children of the world, and because they are the innocent ones, they're the ones that are looking towards us for guidance. But at the moment, there aren't too many adults in the room, so yeah. But I have absolute confidence, and I continue to hold that that eventually humanity will become a much higher, become into a much higher state and a higher consciousness, because you know we can't, this material industrialized continuance is not sustainable, and so we'll figure out, and love will reign supreme, and I'm very hopeful that it will, and that's it. I mean, I love life, and I've been through the worst of it, and I've seen the worst of it, and so all the trauma that I've been through is not a disorder. It's the air beneath my wings, and so I'll continue flying on with hope, because I've seen I in the worst situations I've been in, I've seen incredible selfless behavior, incredible acts of bravery. From
Well, long may you fly, Michael.
yeah, and I will, brother. So I got to go. That's it. We've got farm work to do, and I got to get supper ready. And thank you so much. And yeah, thank you, Wiz, and everyone. Oh, and Dr.
Cheers, Michael.
And yeah, look, have the best day
Hey,
ever.
Michael.
God
We'll
bless
do
you.
our best.
No worries, mate.
Take care.
Mike, oh, he's gone.
I would just like to say I'd repeatedly asked for solutions, and it strikes me, right, and I'm not being offensive, that he managed to dodge it without giving one yet again.
The solution is future, in the future Star
It's a
Trek
fantasy, though, isn't it?
At the moment, yeah, we all need to see eye to eye on it. It's either going to take a massive thing that's going to pull us all together, or be either alien invasion or maybe nuclear war. I don't know, but we're going to need something like that to pull everybody together in order to, you know, get such a realism that Michael's talking about there. I think, anyway.
And it is a beautiful fantasy, right?
Oh yeah. Of course, that's been the dream. It's been the dream for eternity.
There's only one problem with the world having utter peace, though, and I don't think this is something many people think about. It would only take one very small thing, and that would cause mass trauma.
I said that in the chat.
Well, did you? You know, things like world hunger, right? Because we see that in adverts every single day. You know, African kids with their bellies extended because they've not had food in God knows how many months. That's not something that hits us hard because we see it every day. So if the whole world was in a state of peace, it would take the smallest of incidents and it would cause mass trauma.
Just like the bar of chocolate. That's why I mentioned the bar of chocolate.
That was a good example you gave, I thought, of the bar of chocolate.
But in the future, let's say that we can genetically modify meat and stuff like that, and actually make meat on 3D printers, which is something that we can do. At the moment, it's like repulsive to us, isn't it? Yeah, it's repulsive to us. And there's also a lot of money involved in that. Whereas it's really, if you think about it, it's free. Do you know what I mean? But the money side of it, they all want their slice of that meat pie, if you like. You know,
I think there's a possibility that we could end up in. I don't know if any of you've read "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So in there that they don't have animals anymore except for the elites. They have real animals. Everyone else has.
Yeah, they eat steak. The rest of us eat replicated protein.
Yeah. And so it becomes like the holy grail to own an animal. I mean, that's something that could become a real possibility if they can genetically modify meat.
Yeah.
Philip K. Dick.
I mean, it's basically it's a replicator on Star Trek, isn't it? 3D printing meat is a replicator on Star Trek. Basically, it's part of it anyway. You know, all you need to do then is have it 3D replicate. I don't know, some kind of tasty dessert. Tsuma salata, is it? I don't know what it's called. I've never had one. I'm not that posh, but yeah, you know what I mean. A mousse, a nice, you know, ice
a meat mousse, lovely. A nice sinewy mousse form of the tea.
Even if we could produce replicated food in lab-grown protein, we've no idea how that would affect us over several generations, and it would take several generations of testing to make sure that it was safe.
Absolutely, yeah, it would, yeah.
I wouldn't. No way.
No, I'm not very often, right? And I would like to be up more often, but I do have a kid running about here sometimes. And as Electrodoc will remember, he's quite prone to showing up just.
I mentioned it in stream, in the chat stream. So, no, the streaker.
Right, so I need to be careful with him. And he does keep me out. He's watching Thomas the Tank Engine or something at the moment. Now, these fantasies, right? And I don't want to take up the whole time. I'll go quickly. These fantasies are fantasies, and they're beautiful. They are absolutely beautiful. But, and this is a word, there's always a but, and an if. And despite the fact that I offered up, all right, a horrible solution to the hills, right, which would leave a population of probably 35 people that could get along. Because another planet, I would probably find 35 people that agree exactly with me, my views, my position, my outlook. So there'd be 35 people nuking the rest of the planet into oblivion, and we'd be back to the Adam and Eve situation, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
and even they two fell out.
Even on Star Trek, you know, we got a utopia here on Earth, but they still have to fight people. But they've got like godlike powers, such as Q and stuff like that. I don't know if you follow Star Trek.
And laser beams.
Yeah.
Photon cannons.
We've probably already got laser beams. Did you not see what they shot down on Iran? When it
I'm making the point that even in a utopia, right?
Yeah.
You know what utopia means, Slim?
Well, it's supposed to be a perfect place, isn't it?
Yeah.
A perfect ending.
It literally translates, though, as no place, because it's impossible.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't aware of that, to be honest.
I didn't know that.
I think it was that came up with it.
What does dystopia translate to then?
Reality.
A place.
Reality.
What does what translate to? Sorry, I didn't hear that one.
So if utopia translates to no place, what does dystopia like translate to? I guess it's just the world as it is now.
Well,
I was going to say what we got.
I'd say disorganized something. That's disorganized. I'd say.
I would say it means broken place. I would say.
Yeah.
Which is exactly where we are right now.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So let's think of a solution then for where we are right now. So we're not going to go.
That was supposed to be the topic, guys.
My
solution is
Islam. Yeah, get rid of Islam. I personally,
how do you do that?
Too much. Well, how?
Legislation.
Let's stick to the house for a bit.
In the UK, what we would need to do is we'd need to. Jake just rightly mentioned we'd need to introduce policy that restricts Islam. So no more building mosques. Any mosques, we implement the same rules against Islam that Islam implements against Christendom in their own countries.
Just one thing,
they've got mosques.
Okay, and then I import 300,000 Kalashnikovs. Then where do you go? And this is a serious question, right?
That's what I was going to ask. What are you going to
here.
do when they kick off?
We've got mosques here we do not allow them to build more mosques, and we do not allow them to repair the mosques that they already have.
Okay,
That's
but
what they
I've
impose
just
on churches in their countries.
yes, but
So
they also have the 300,000 Kalashnikovs. Okay, I'm that man, and I say these Brits are cancelling us, and then I pick up the phone and I say, hello, we're needing a couple of container loads of Kalashnikovs, some mines, some rockets, a couple of RPGs. Now, where do you take it from there? And this is the serious question. It always ends up in the same place. It's the only way you can actually deal with these situations.
well, we
The
would
only way you can
need
deal with
but
that is by getting a load of Kalashnikovs and rocket launchers yourself, and get more of them. And,
Well,
and
Kalashnikov isn't AI-powered droid, is it? We've got AI-powered droids, so
I don't.
drones, should I say? AI-powered drones that take
if we
things
go
out.
back to what Ace
one
was saying,
thing
I
you-
agree. But what I don't, where I think Slim is right here is, if you were to suddenly take away mosque privileges that they have, you would end up with literal civil war. But
They're
you
already
could,
kicking off.
for example,
They're already kicking
prevent
off
them
now
from
because
building more.
we're on about getting rid of halal and kosher. Look at that guy in that Indian guy who put that notice
oh,
up.
the
Sikh.
Oh, the
Sikh,
Sikh guy.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
the
Sikh
Sikh,
guy,
yeah.
yeah, that was
Yeah,
it's
they were already
really,
kicking
that
off
should
there.
not be happening.
All these idiots doing
but
chuffing
why should-
TikTok videos and shit like that. It's just disgusting.
But we could put surveillance in mosques, though. That's something that we could and should be doing.
Good luck with that.
No, we
Do you
can
think
do
they'd
it.
allow it?
There
We can
already is
legislate for that.
surveillance in some mosques. There already is surveillance in some mosques. Mosques
But-
that have been shown to be pushing extremist views actually now have surveillance in them.
Yeah, see, that's
But
all right
how,
until they start speaking Hebrew in Pig Latin. You know what I mean? Then that's just going to be completely. It's going to be like the Enigma machine all over again.
Well, they wouldn't be speaking Hebrew because that's the Jewish. They'd
not
be
not
speaking
Hebrew,
Arabic.
Arabic. That's it. Sorry, yes, Arabic. Yes, I'm educated, but
Well,
not
they would
well
just go
educated.
somewhere
Well,
that
yeah.
they weren't being surveilled. But this is the
Yeah,
problem,
that's the
right?
idea,
No
Slim,
matter.
to get them to go somewhere else.
Yeah, but see, when they go somewhere else and build up their forces, and their goal, their aim is their own utopia. This is where it goes wrong. Their own utopia, which is the world. The world is an Islamic caliphate, right?
Yeah.
Now, this is where the fantasy has to clash with reality.
Mm.
The termites and the ants, they never come to an agreement. They never come to any sort of middle ground where you can share this and I can share that.
Ah, but the Green Party did, didn't they?
Useful idiots.
why they're winning.
We're talking about useful
yeah.
idiots.
Yeah,
Couldn't
but
get
that's why they're winning. You know,
And they will be the first
Florida
one
man-
against the wall when the Islamists would take over. Now,
Yeah,
I'm only
just-
speaking theory here.
Yeah, restoring
Slim, I
advance
said
and
the-
UKIP can't see eye to eye, can they? So they're in a civil war at the moment, a political civil war. It's ridiculous. You know what I mean?
I said
I
the
wouldn't.
exact same thing that Slim said.
Yeah.
As soon as say for example the Greens, get all across the country, they're then in the main seat as Prime Minister. The
Yeah.
first thing they're going to do, they're going to get rid of Zach. They're going to
Yeah.
get rid of Hannah. They're
Yeah.
going to get rid of any white non-Muslim person in the
Yeah.
party, and
Yeah.
then it will be very obvious, like all of us can see,
But too late.
what
probably.
Islam's plan is, but by
Yeah.
then it's too late. And by then it will be literally down to the British public to retake the country.
Which will be civil
And
war.
how
really.
do you do
And-
that? This
But
is
you're
where it all
talking
becomes
about-
horrible every time. It's armed
You're
conflict.
going back to
Yeah,
Oliver
exactly.
Cromwell times.
I
Then
think
You're going
we
back
can
to
avoid
Oliver
armed
Cromwell
conflict.
times.
I think
You
You,
can-
you'll
that.
never avoid armed conflict from Muslims. I mean, they literally welcome death more than life. That's why I put these verses up. This is
Yeah,
their
they-
ideology. They're more than happy to wake up in the morning and as you put marmalade on your toast, they slit your throat. They really
Yeah.
don't care. It's nothing to them.
No,
There is no
I
way.
appreciate that, but I think that we can use the law against them to make. If we just kick them out or ban it, it's just going to cause a civil war, like Slim was pointing out. So you need to do it incrementally to make, I think, to
Yes.
make it as uncomfortable as possible, so that they actually leave themselves.
They choose to leave. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah,
That's
like you
what
say,
I
yeah, halal, mosque, call to prayer, not using
But
the
this-
Quran. But
this-
then
this requires-
could we,
this- This
Are
requires
we
a certain
legally
government to be in.
entitled?
The Greens would never
But
do
can
it.
we legally put Islam as a non-religion? Can you say, right, this is an
Well,
ideology, this
actually,
is
I
a
was
cult?
You
looking
brand
at
it terrorist and say, yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, Islam in law is a really interesting one because for some bizarre reason in this country, it gets conflated with race. They haven't made the distinction clear enough, and that's why you get so many problems
Yeah,
with it.
it's not
So
a
they
race.
need to make it clear that it's a religion. But they also need to make it clear that it is also a political ideology and a system of law
Yeah.
and a manual for living, which they never...
Theocracy.
Exactly, yeah. Complete theocracy. I mean, it's a tyranny of a religion, if ever there was one.
Can I just ask a question? Can anyone name a single country that Islam has voluntarily left? Because I can't.
None, ever. And in fact,
That's
if
why I'm
Islam take
saying-
over a country,
But
it is by
Japan's
then
got the
right
Islamic
idea.
forever.
Yes, I can. I can think of one.
Go on.
Japan and China
Saudi
got the
Arabia.
idea.
Arabia.
They voluntarily left there to go and take over everywhere else.
No.
That's
Yeah,
the only one there is.
Okay, so minus their own countries, there hasn't been a single country that I can think of or name that they have voluntarily left. In fact, every country that they have previously conquered, they still view as Islamic land that needs to
Exactly.
be retaken.
Hmm.
Once a mosque is built, that piece of land that that mosque is on is considered Islamic for the rest of time, and they will do anything to keep it in Islam. So I don't see any other way apart from we need to impose the same rules that Islam imposes on Christendom in their own countries. We need to impose that upon them in our countries.
Then you
No,
know
So
what they're going to do,
I
don't you?
pro-
do it without
Yeah.
them kicking off.
Without them,
well,
without
I
them,
proposed
the victim
a
card.
law.
Yeah.
The victim
I
card.
proposed a law that we have this do unto others as you would have done unto thyself. Well, I would change that slightly. Give unto others as they give unto you. So if they in their countries do not allow us to build churches, do not allow us to ring our bells, do not allow us to, practice our religion freely, then that's what we give them. And it doesn't matter what country, that can be applied to all countries. So if you're an American, your country gives our country freedom of religion. Fine. America here can have freedom of religion. Or Americans here can have freedom of religion. Saudi Arabia, does Saudi Arabia give us that freedom of religion in their country? No, then they can't have that here. Give unto others as they give unto you. That's the law that I would propose.
I think all of us would agree that Islam is something that has no place in our society. It's not compatible. It doesn't fit at a foundational level, at values level, at practice level, in every regard.
There's the problem. Billions would disagree with that.
If it could reform,
that's the problem, isn't it?
Yes.
If it could reform, then it could fit in.
Yeah.
But I don't ever see that being plausible because it's not possible for Islam. They can't pick and choose what parts they do and don't follow. If they don't follow Islam to a T, they're not actually following Islam.
Well, I would say, what do you do when a person has cancer? You cut out the cancer, and then you hope that they're better afterwards. That's the perfect way, I think, to describe what is happening here. It can only be described as cancerous because it doesn't bring any value. Doesn't bring any economic value. I mean, we saw earlier, half of them are on the dole from the stats that Wiz put up. It's not beneficial on a societal level, but because of the laws that have been put in place by our governments, we can't simply just say tomorrow, right, everybody leave, because there'll be a civil war. And nobody wants that because those people can get their hands on weapons that we can't manage to get. So I think the important thing is that we have to manage it properly. And that involves us standing up to them and telling them in no uncertain terms, we're not tolerating your shit anymore. And I think, having things like patrols in the areas where like Whitechapel, where instead of them enforcing Islam, they're actually doing the opposite and taking down the street signs that are in Bengali or whatever language it is they speak in.
Yeah,
But
the
you
fact
just
that we've
can't.
got
You can't just
the fact
kick them
we've
out overnight, though, and that
Need a major government change for that lot, or to
well,
take effect.
we could kick them out overnight. All we'd have to do is instigate martial law. All the British would be quite happy to go along with martial law to get Islam out of this country.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
there's
know
one
one
problem with that, Ace.
unless they're lefties. Unless
There's
they're
one problem with
lefties, then
that.
they're going to have a problem with that. Go on.
There's what 1.2 million or something of them. How many armed forces have we got? Not even 100,000.
170,000.
Ant
Is that what it
Middleton.
is?
Ant Middleton said he could raise over 1 million men within a minute. So
Yeah, well,
Now, don't forget the
Middleton
police
might
force as
say
well.
that, but I'll believe it when I see it.
Don't forget the police force as well. They could become armed, whatever.
Yeah, but against 1 million armed jihadis.
I don't know how many coppers we've got in country.
The police force would be on the side of the lefties because the establishment is left wing.
Exactly, yeah. We need to get rid of that. Yeah.
That is, in fact, what needs to be gotten rid of. Yes, the system that's currently in place and legislation put in place to make sure that this shit never is allowed to infect our government.
And that's why I say aim high, vote low, millions must go. Period.
I'm going to wait and see what the actual policies are. Not just buy the first thing I see in the shop, because that's always a disappointment.
Rupert's released a load of policies already. They're on Restore's website.
Yeah, they're unfortunately exactly the same as Advance UK. Yeah, I watched a video last night that actually reveals why Advance UK have been rejected by Restore. In my mind, anyway. A true patriot.
Advance have not proposed putting pepper spray into public hands in order to protect women's safety.
They're releasing something very similar this month at some point. I've heard rumours of that anyway.
We do actually have the right to bear arms in this country.
Yeah, which then brings me on to Graham Moore, who's talking about the civil rights that we have and stuff. Now it's Graham Moore who may have whispered in Rupert's ear. I'm not sure. But may have whispered in his ear that I'm not into Ben Habib because of his ethnicity.
Well, there is something very specific about bearing arms, though, that is important in that it says that we can bear arms, but only in accordance with the law. And as the law has prevented things such as handguns, then obviously we don't have the right to bear arms because they've all been taken away through legislation later on. So
I recently looked up, it's still legal to own a catapult.
And a shotgun and a crossbow.
And a crossbow, yeah.
Yeah, there's a rule about the crossbow. I did public services at college. I actually wanted to join the Navy when I was a lot younger.
Go on.
Before I realised I'd be away on tour for like 6 months at a time and I wouldn't be able to talk to my family. Anyway, half of that course was law studies in itself, and it stated that there was a specific law back in the day that entitled an Englishman to shoot a Welshman with a crossbow from one specific castle, and it would be when the Welsh were coming over the border to try and invade England. But there are other laws that were brought in that basically override it. So, because anything that comes in afterwards supersedes what came before it. So, although the law still exists,
when I was a student up in Wales, I heard that story. I think it's Chester where it's based, somewhere like that.
Yeah, it's from a specific castle.
Yeah. You see,
any law that's brought in later in time supersedes any law that was written before it. So
there's one thing I want to add into the advance restore conversation, though, which I know we're talking about Islam, and we will get back to that because that is important. But with the reform Islam thing, one thing that nobody seems to be discussing is they all seem to be thinking it's just going to be one party that sweeps the board at the next election, whereas I think it's far more likely that there's going to be a coalition in the next election. I would be very surprised if we ever saw a one-party majority again, to be honest with you.
Well, Restore have just overtaken the Conservatives for membership, so But
it's
again,
still one man.
this
It's
is
still
all-
one. It's still one man with over the amount of Conservative members. It's at the moment. We don't
and I
know
was going to
who's
say
going to
it's
be bringing in.
it's
They
still
might be
dependent
useless.
on Rupert's word.
They might just chip in
There's
a load
no
of
official
Conservatives.
stats.
It might just chip in a load of Conservatives and Labour. Who knows? I know that'd
He
be
won't be.
serious
He actively
political.
said he will not be taking on politicians from the current political sphere.
And
He's already stated that.
What do you think, Richard? Would you be happy in advance if you had a load of ex-politicians joining?
All depends what ex-politicians. Who does
So
all depend.
let's say, for the sake of argument, ones who have tried to do some good, of the sort of ilk of like Suella, who clearly did try and do something but was prevented from doing it.
Suella I quite liked, yeah. The other ones though that Reform have took in are just ridiculous. I don't know why. They have to be properly vetted. Just like Reform, said, oh yeah, we're going to properly vet all our candidates and all our members and everything, and then suddenly it goes out the window as soon as
They don't vet
ex-Conservatives.
Not a single MP, and you can Google this. I only found this out literally this morning. Not a single MP has to go through DBS checking. Not a single one.
Yeah, this is why I want to take Ben Habib from the front man position, you see, onto like the chairman of the college, so as he can, police the college or whatever, or make sure they're not really police them because they police themselves, but make sure they stick to policy rules, etc. So as nobody's just getting thrown out left, right, and centre because they're breaking policy rules or something, or party rules, should I say? And then to get someone else in. I think someone's made another another recommendation, which was someone, I can't remember who it was. There's Howard Cox, I know that, and then there's another guy that someone just recently said today on today's stream that I could do is trying to find out his email address and get in touch with him. See if he'd be happy to come on as well, and then hopefully Ben Habib, so Ben might be able to set the wheels in motion in order to change the leadership of Advance. You see, just to get Ben from the front line, so as it's not just seen as Advance UK, the off Pakistani party, which it is at the moment.
See, I'd look at it slightly differently. I would look at it in terms of you want not just politicians. What you actually want is an effective team. So you're going to need to have on your team shit stirrers and things like that. You need a Mandelson type figure there who's going to, stir up trouble. And I think Dominic Cummings is somebody who these people should be trying to get hold of. He knows the score inside and out. He also has a very clear idea about how to break up the civil service, and it'd be interesting to see what he.
Afuera.
What was that?
Afuera.
Afuera.
Still didn't understand that, but thank you.
Could you say that again in English, not Scottish?
That's the the Argentinian gentleman.
Him, yeah. Chainsaw Man.
Yes.
Yeah. Afuera. Out.
Yeah, I know what you mean now. It's just I'm not used to the Scottish accent.
I know it can be difficult. I'm sorry.
I love the Scottish accent. I love the Scottish accent.
Is it Glasgow? Sounds like Glasgow to me.
Yes, it is indeed.
Yeah. No, I'm okay with you today.
Plumjacks has got the answer. Just vote Restore.
What is the answer? Just vote.
Who to vote? Yeah. Just vote Restore. Yeah. Plumjacks.
Why would you vote Restore right now when they don't even have any MPs?
Exactly. This is a mindset of
for years they may well be worth voting for. I think at the moment that they certainly are. For me, they've presented the best vision from a political body, but I wouldn't join them right now because there isn't anything to join. I want to wait until the election's coming up.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be like placing Michael as a sole candidate for a political party. You know what I mean? And expect him to sort that out with his philosophies that he's got at the moment.
I'd love to see him stand in Glasgow with that philosophy.
Bless him. Yeah.
Can't we all just get along?
Yeah. Just get along, everybody.
In the Gorbals.
Yeah.
We'll all just get along.
Do that. Come by all.
Yeah, I was going to say, the way I see Restore personally, and I have said this already, Rupert is a very shrewd man. I think he's keeping his cards very close to his chest.
Yeah.
And I think he's doing that for a specific reason. Yeah, I think he's got a lot more going on behind closed doors that the public aren't aware of just yet. And I think it's a case of I think he's still waiting for, the Overton window to shift more in his favour before he starts coming forward with his long-term proposals, because I think his long-term proposals are going to be so radical that if the Overton window hasn't shifted enough, he is very aware that could push people away from the store for being fit. We're all too worried about being called racist instead of being worried about saving the country. Well, when people are less worried about being called racist, then the Overton window starts to shift. And I think then Rupert will come forward.
To be honest, I think he's brought the young team in to attract a younger audience, knowing that that's the base that he wants to, because obviously the Greens have got a huge impact, particularly on women aged 16 to 30. So I think that he's targeting that. But I think at the same time, the danger of that is that there isn't the experience amongst that youth. They've got the energy, they've got the passion, they've got the vision, but they haven't got the expertise at the moment that will help them to get to where they need to be. A good example was the debate they did, Charlie Downs did on Dan Wootton's show, where, to be honest, he was pretty shit. All he did was just agree that Muslims had a good culture. And if you want to understand that better, watch Nuria Khan's latest video where she analyses all the lies that the Islamists tell throughout it. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, well, the Greens are actually, they're trying to attract the 5 to 10-year-old votes, aren't they? We're dressed up as Barney the chuffing dinosaur. God. What a chuffing state! And they've all got the same pom-pommers there. I've never seen I've never seen anybody older than about 5-year-old have that hairdo, except her.
I think that they are just like, if you were to sit down and write a piss take of what a political party would be.
Oh, definitely.
If you wrote down the Green Party, no one would take that seriously, even as a joke.
Yeah, it should be on Monty Python from years ago. In fact, I bet there's probably even a sketch where that kind of thing's, shown on there.
Well, I have to say, I did receive a leaflet from them this afternoon that went promptly in the bin. Right. See, they're in power here, unfortunately. Yeah. There's a lot of ex-London hippies live around here. Yeah, wealthy ex-London media types, wankers.
Libertarian.
In relation to the global thing that Michael's talking about, right? Now, his vision is a global vision.
Yeah.
Right, and Ace had spoke about ejecting Islam outside the country, where it's sitting across the English Channel there, 22 mile away.
Yeah.
Until it takes over Belgium, and it's taking over France, and it's taking over Germany, and it's already quite a powerful force in Russia, and in Finland, Sweden, Norway, and then we're one isolated tiny wee island against the rabble.
Yeah, but
right.
Also, of course, most of those countries you've just mentioned there have all got nuclear buttons. So
that's right.
Your vision of the future.
Including France, just 22 mile away.
Your vision of the
future is
a
nuclear suicide bomber.
Yep. Your vision of the future is therefore moot. I'm afraid, Slim, because
Well, it's not my vision.
Get that far.
That's what I'm saying. It's not my vision.
Yeah. Wait. That would require abandoning the core principles of nuclear warfare being mutually assured destruction.
Yeah.
That would literally require abandoning those principles, which is the one thing that stopped nuclear World War III.
Yeah, but it only stops it. It only stops it if you have the second strike. If you've got the first strike, that no longer applies because you can just destroy the opposition.
No, because we would know that a nuke has been launched and we would push the button as soon as we'd found out. That's literally the founding principle of nuclear warfare.
Mutually assured destruction.
So as soon as they push their button, we would push ours, which would push every allied country to pushing their buttons.
And you know what the Russians got that we don't have is a dead man's
a lot more nukes.
Well,
sorry,
no, the Russian missiles launch,
which probably don't
launch.
But yeah, they've got a dead man's hand switch, so that it will automatically fire back at whatever happens to Russia. So
Really?
yeah,
Yes.
I didn't know that.
and we don't
There
have
you
one.
go.
Yeah.
And they also
Now,
have the
this is what I was saying. See, even if we did push them across the channel and they made Britain Islam free, for instance, right? Just picture it. What you actually have is nuclear powers 22 miles away that could become a part of the Ummah, right? Along with Spain, Portugal. I'm not going to go through all the countries in Europe for east to west, right? They're already a powerful force in most places. Historically, when they get to 15, 20%, they start to take over. They're already started it here. They're empowering the parliament. They're empowering the local elections. Glasgow's got an Asian. Everywhere you look, they're mostly Muslims that are running the show. Now, see, if you do push them across the channel, you then, as stated, have a nuclear force across the channel, France, that is going to be looking on our green and pleasant land and saying, well, we've done everywhere else. We've done everywhere else. This is what I was talking about, the termites. And it's no my solution. It's the solution. History's solution to the problem. Like for the Mongols in the times before, the Mongols would ride across and say, look, you can join us or you can have your head on a stick. No, it's your choice.
Yeah.
Right?
So
and they went into battle with babies dangling for their horses to let people know that they weren't messing about. That's what actually becomes
Can you imagine
history.
seeing that?
Well, you know they're not messing about, right?
Yeah,
No,
I
they're
physically
not.
cannot picture that in my head. If I saw that, I think I would probably.
if the Greens get in, I
Well,
think you're going to have no other choice but to see it. I did notice that they had the high-rise crane, in the background of the Green speech that they were giving. So they've already set the
They
stage.
did.
You know what I mean? They
Yeah,
did.
in Manchester. Yeah.
Yeah, the two high-rise cranes behind them. I thought, oh right, okay. What's this? Is this setting the scene for some future thing? So,
The one area though where I would want to push back is that when it comes to Islam, we all recognise that it's a problem. But what extent is it actually a problem at the moment? Because we know that we've got, for example, Shabana Mahmood is in power, Sadiq Khan, but are there really that many in power at the moment who can affect things? Or is the concern more that there's only going to be more that join over time?
I don't think
Well, for me, it's a reality that they're good at breeding. They breed
that's where I
rapidly.
That's where I would
They are basically, and more than one person has told me they're going to breed us out of existence. Now, that is their plan.
Well, we need to develop some myxomatosis then.
Yeah, something like that.
No,
Yeah,
that's a biological final solution also, isn't it? I mean, every time it comes back to that.
So someone finally said the final solution.
No, I was joking.
And it wasn't me.
Well, obviously, it's not my choice, right? But that's what all these things are. That's what I was talking about, the termites.
Yeah.
The tribes in Africa, the tribes in America. I mean, the Indians want this, that, they want their land back. But they go to after some other tribe that they battered the crap out of and took over. And then this guy over here, the Sioux Nation were a bigger tribe. They battered everybody else and took their land.
Mm-hmm.
It's at no point in human history has there been any sort of niceness where we weren't smashing each other's skulls in and taking what they own.
Actually,
it's just a fact of life.
That word you just mentioned there. Do you think this is the problem that Western society has killed itself by being too nice?
Yes, suicidal empathy.
And too complicit.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what we're doing at the moment. I'm sat back on a recliner with a microphone shoved in front of my face, streaming over the internet, so free. You know what I mean? Well, kinda. On my television in the distance, that's LCD and all this technical stuff all laying around me.
All this stuff we don't actually need.
Chuffing on an e-cig that doesn't give me cancer. You know what I mean? We're kind of like in kind of an utopia, but unfortunately the tide's changing. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
we're all relaxed, aren't we? We're all, you know,
Well,
it's
that's
not
a
as if
really
we
good
sat in
point there, actually.
a cave out like that, you know.
No, you're right. And we don't have the sort of work pressures that you would have had 100 years ago either.
Yeah.
I think you're right that there is a complicity that comes with that. And I think that in many regards, that although people will complain about things today, I think it would be difficult to argue against the fact that our society is probably the most advanced and probably luxurious that it's ever been in history in terms of what we actually have.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I mean,
Yeah.
just the amount of information we've got access to on a daily basis.
Yeah.
If I want to go and educate myself on a subject I've had zero education on, all I've got to do is go on the internet.
Yeah, but also
I
you see,
wanna
you've got
learn-
the other folks. You've got the other folks on the other side of the scale who are watching TikTok dances and taking that in as real evidence of things that have happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With that chilled and laid back, that, you know, it's kind of destroying us, if you know what I mean.
That's the other problem with
Yeah.
Michael's plan.
Yeah.
Is that, for example, I mean, I already went down the line of it would be, according to science, impossible for a species to reach that level of technological evolution to be able to travel just between one star and another.
Mhm.
Say, for example, that we are completely wrong about that. Just as an example, we're completely wrong about that. Okay, great. Humanity's got itself to this place of ultimate peace. Everyone's sharing. No one's killing anyone. We're all, you know, singing Kumbaya around the campfire together.
Yeah.
Well, what happens then if some alien species turns up to
Yeah.
take all of our resources? We would then have zero way of defending ourselves because we've
We've
abandoned
decided
the
to,
principles that
sing
have
hymns.
allowed us to defend ourselves.
But isn't that what we've done to society? Isn't that exactly the same thing? That we've, because of our advancement, or so-called advancement, we've become so advanced that we've disarmed ourselves. And that's why Islam, of course.
In fact, Jake, we developed through the Industrial Revolution mortar, cannon, machine guns, and we went to the New World, and we done exactly that. We took it from them.
We did.
We were the aliens at that point. We went there. We went to Australia. We smacked the crap out of a few abos and said it's yours now, mate.
Yeah. Well, if aliens have managed to get to that point of society whereby they all get along and they're able to like travel the stars and stuff like that, I'm of the belief that they won't actually pick on us because they just go somewhere else where they weren't intelligent life. Well, intelligent life.
I think that to find us would be quite an achievement in itself. It'd be like looking for a grain of sand on a beach, really, isn't it?
Well, I don't know, because I mean, look how they're looking now. You know how they're finding stars wobbling and things like that. So therefore, there's a planet going around it. You know, maybe they've already conquered that, but they're able to get to us. You know, because
they would certainly have it far advanced.
Imagine where the space race would be right now if we hadn't have decided to start shooting at each other, killing each other.
No, I agree, and I think it's perfectly possible, of course, that there would be different bodies that exist, and it's likely that there would be ones that be far more advanced than us. But my point is that I think it's unlikely that they'd even find us because we're that tiny. It would be a stroke of luck, I think, for them to do it. But it's not impossible.
They think within the galaxy, that the Milky Way, they actually think that our solar system is like on the very edge in like this massive dark area.
Yeah.
When they look at the observable universe of what we can see, they actually place us just outside, like in this massive dark area where there's not really much else. So the odds of us being found are quite slim, because you would expect them to look in, more dense areas.
Yeah, into a radio receiver would be able to find you in a heartbeat.
I mean,
if you scan the frequencies and they pick up these radio transmissions, and you'd be fine.
Yeah, even radio telescopes, which is our highest achievement at the moment, into them radio telescopes. Even with that, we're finding these little wobbles and things. They're going to be even more advanced than that. They're probably they must have you know, the answer to gravity, because we don't actually know why gravity works. We just know that it's mass and like a magnetic force, but not. You know what I mean? That's where we are at the moment on the understanding of gravity situation. But maybe they've got.
I have a
Yeah.
massive interest in. I love astronomy. I've got a couple of telescopes, but it's certainly not something that I would be able to speak confidently about physics. No way, it's not.
Yeah,
I don't know enough.
So you know, if you've unlocked the secret to gravity, then you don't know what kind of technology that's going to give you. You know, obviously you're going to be able to create a gravity bubble in front of a spaceship. That's good, therefore going to let you move really, 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 really fast. Yeah, but then more about the electronics advancements that you might be able to make.
Anti-gravity is a holy grail, isn't it, for aviation?
Yeah. So, you know, if they've got that, then obviously they're going to be able to use that technology within electronics and stuff, and then get even more sensitive things that can even pick up our gravitational signature and stuff like that. You know, that.
Rich, have you ever played any of the Mass Effect games?
Mass Effect, I have not, Ducky. No.
Oh,
no, I like
kind of
scrap mechanics.
They kind of utilize the principle of being able to manipulate mass.
Oh, yeah,
so instead of having like a gun with, you know, a magazine and bullets in, you would have like a clip of metal, and you could shave off like something like 1/100th of a millimeter. You change its mass to be 100 times bigger or heavier.
I see.
And then that's how they basically kill each other. So, but that would be rooted in understanding what gravity is. Because gravity and mass are linked, as far as we understand.
I understand.
I think that's really very interesting. But if we go back to Islam again, I think
we have drifted.
We need to deal with Slim's dilemma, which is a very important one. That really what we're looking at here is two civilizations who both want control of the country
or the world. Yeah.
Well, yes, of the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's three. In fact, there's three major groups.
So what can we actually do then to prevent it from getting further infiltrated within government? Can we legislate against that? What do we do about the demographics? What can we actually do apart from banning halal? You know, not letting any more mosques be built.
We could get a control on education. Grab a control of education, especially you know in Islamic countries and stuff like that. If Trump gets in there and then alters that entire education structure, so as it's not all about killing Jews and stuff or killing Christians, then that'd be I think that would be a.
What if you had, for example, that no schools are allowed to teach any religion except for Christianity?
I don't know.
I think that would be a step too far, only for the reason of not all religions apart from Islam are hostile to Christianity. Hinduism not hostile to Christianity.
What if you
Sikhism?
had?
Why should those religions? Well, then how does anyone learn about Christianity?
Exactly, which is why I said to keep Christianity.
You could have like,
but then that's not fair on religions that aren't oppressive to Christianity.
There's not going to be a fair solution to any of this.
We could end up alienating some of our biggest allies by doing that. So that's why I see that as a problem personally. But
it's not a simple answer.
Obviously. No, it's really not.
How to say I'm going to ban Islam? You could say I'm going to ban all religions, though. That's different.
Teach shame and how to act in public in public spaces. What about that? That'd be a good place to start.
And teaching how to respect women as well would be an even better.
Yeah, we need to bring back accountability as well, because I think that is something that we are very much lacking. People don't take accountability.
It's strange to hear you say how we treat women, right? I know maybe you're relating to the Islamic view of how to treat women there. But we live in a society where men themselves have been devalued to the point where we're now the only person that's okay to be bigoted against. White men. You look all over the internet and men are slurred, abused,
Yeah, they are.
I don't see that for any other group other than the WASPs, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant males.
I think
You know
you're
what I mean?
right there, Spoon. And also, I think that men are portrayed on top of that as simply as a resource to be extracted from. And if you don't have anything that's worth extracting, then you were considered a worthless as a man, which is a completely different role than a man would have had 100 years ago.
Well, I
There was
was
a
I was factory fodder my whole life, so I'm well aware of that situation, and that is true.
there was a lady.
And it's a terrible situation for you psychologically, isn't it? You can't. How can you ever get out of that? You can't improve yourself. You can't improve the way that society sees you.
There was a lady who exposed exactly what you're talking about. She actually ended up opting for taking her own life in Switzerland via euthanasia. She
Drastic.
wanted to, she wanted to, well, what she ended up realizing is what the male counterpart actually goes through. Someone did a video on it. I literally again saw this today. She's this Norma something, I can't remember what her name was, but Norma was her first name. She spent a year living as a man, and
The
then
one
she
lady with the short hair.
highlighted. Yeah, she highlighted all of the things that the male counterpart is subjected to that the female counterpart just doesn't think about. Like, for example, a relationship.
Sitting on your own nuts.
Yeah, well, we don't have nuts, but some of us have flaps that are a bit too big, and some of us don't.
Yeah,
I
that's
guess.
true. Some do have
Anyway,
big ones.
moving on. She said, looking at just relationships as one example, in a straight relationship, it's usually the male counterpart that makes the first move. So it's the males that are subjected to the most amount of rejection.
Yeah.
She listed a whole bunch of things that, as a female, I sat there and thought, you know what? I've never thought about that.
I think
It was
the
actually
easiest
quite
thing is-
eye-opening.
The easiest thing is that a woman just needs to put a load of slap on, and then she's instantly going to find a mate. That's something that's just taken as read for women. I think that, and for men, you can't really do that. You have to rely on other things instead, such as your wonderful charisma,
But you can,
or your
you can,
wallet.
but you're not really being a man anymore, according
many
to
chins
what
you've got?
masculinity is.
How many
Yeah.
chins you've got?
Yeah, that's true. And I never think of that in other people. The last thing that would be on my mind is what is in that person's bank account. I couldn't give a fuck what they do. I'm interested in what somebody is like as a person, what their values are. I don't care where they live. I don't care where they're from. Probably why I'm single. But
There's been videos in places like New York, other big states in the US, where literally women take a tape measure when they go out, and if you don't score above a certain height, they won't even talk to you.
a woman like that isn't worth speaking to anyway.
Like,
No.
what? No, I don't agree with it either, Jake. I think it's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, but you're unapproachable by a man.
I mean, let's be honest.
But
It
that's
was,
because I'm gay. That's because I'm
Ace,
gay.
it was
but...
Nora
Yeah.
Vincent.
If a woman come anywhere
Nora
near me with a
Vincent
tape
was
That's
her
the
measure,
one.
Nora
That's
Vincent,
the one.
Yeah, and she-
Wizard, yeah.
She was
Yeah.
called
Yeah.
Ned. She tried
Ned.
to
That's
commit
the one.
suicide in 2014, but then went to Switzerland for assisted.
See, if a
suicide.
And
woman
some of
come
the
up,
things that she highlighted, I literally sat there and thought, you know what? I've never even considered that the male counterpart has to experience that, because I, as a female, don't have to experience that.
You wouldn't, for
It
example,
really
have
was
to,
quite eye-opening.
you haven't, for example, got that the feeling you get when you see a group stood on a corner when you're walking past with your woman and they're looking at your woman. You wouldn't have experienced how that sense of protection that we have to have, and the way that we have to weigh up whether or not this is worth engaging in or fleeing.
whether to walk through that group or take a long cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things like
She's
that.
only 53.
Who?
Yeah.
Ace?
No, I'm not
No,
53. God.
Nora Vincent was 53. Ace is only 41.
41, yeah.
Yeah, 41. Yeah.
See, we've done our own.
I'm only 29.
Hey, you're only 21.
29.
29. Yeah.
I've been for several years now.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
You have been for several
many-
years, right? Yeah,
Several
course.
years.
How many severals, Jake?
Beyond
No,
30,
don't look in there.
so that's for sure.
No, we can't touch that, mate.
My age is my IQ.
I'm 57. I think I'm oldest here, aren't I? I don't know how old Slim is. Oh, it's me. Look on television. Can I see
Oh,
myself
yeah.
waving? Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Me.
I'm a
on
wizard,
the
mate.
telly.
I'm 376 years old, so
There you go. There's me.
Well,
Look,
I'm
waving.
close to 50
in the
than 40,
past.
put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. What is it now?
Yeah.
March.
March.
No,
Yeah,
March, God.
yeah.
I'm
It's
Don't
Mother's
forget,
Day tomorrow.
people.
Mother's
Mother's
Day.
Day
2
tomorrow.
months and I'm 50.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Don't forget, it's Mother's Day tomorrow. Make sure you contact your mum and
Yes,
wish
indeed.
her a happy Mother's Day and thank her for all the things that she's done for you that you haven't even realised.
I demand a thanks for what
There are
I've done for my bloody
things.
mother.
Yeah, no,
Other day,
I've got my Aldera card. She does a
went-
lot for me.
I went round the other day to go and pick up a calendar that's got this car picture on it. It's an old one. It's actually quite rare because it was presented to BMW factory to put on their wall in 1996, and it's got these race cars on it. I wanted it for a picture on me because I've got planes, trains, and automobiles. You see, as you're walking up the stairs. As pictures, but I didn't have the automobiles one. My mum sorted me out with that, right? And she said, "Oh yeah, I'll have to come round and pick it up." I got there. There's a boot full of compost, right? She's 80-year-old. There's a boot literally full of these big, massive bags, 50 gram, I don't know, 25 kilogram bags of compost. So I had to shift it all out, and I'd got all my posh togs on and everything. I ended up with chuffing peat all down me. Basically, dinosaur crap all over me.
Do.
How did Pete feel about that? Was he okay with it?
Oh my, you listening to chuffing? Oh, you listening to Wizard's jokes? Oh no, you got the same chuffing crackerjack jokes on. Yeah,
I think
well
it's just because I'm at this point I'm like overtired. I haven't actually slept yet.
That's what it
So,
is, right?
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, that happened. But of
What's
course,
your stance policy, Richard, on Islam?
Islam.
Can I interject? I need to leave. And
All right.
I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure coming to see
It's a
you.
pleasure to speak
Pleasure
to you.
to see
Thanks
you
for
again.
having me on.
Cheers, Slim.
Yeah,
See
yeah,
you
Lovely
great
to
tomorrow.
to
speak to you,
chat,
Slim. Good to see your
Very
face.
good.
Yeah,
I'm glad
my
to come back
first
again.
subscriber,
Yay!
Slim. Much appreciated, by the way. Much
You're
appreciated.
very
My
welcome.
first subscriber.
Cheers, Slim. Take it easy.
Have a great one.
Cheers, see you.
Au revoir.
Take it easy, mate.
Au revoir.
Take it easy.
So Advance UK is it's basically a carbon copy of Advance UK. Sorry, Restore's. Well, mainly because Restore they announced theirs after Advance had a week after. Yeah, so it's exactly the same carbon copy. In fact, all the policies are near enough. Yeah.
And what does it say, if you can remember?
Oh, right, yeah, right. I can't remember my own name at times.
Okay.
Never mind surprise
Wizard.
questions like that.
Would you hang on, Wizard? Would you be able to put it up on screen so we could have a look at it? Maybe.
Yeah, do that, Wiz.
What's that? What?
Pull up Advance's.
Advance UK's policies on Islam and the banning of it or whatever. I know there's no yeah.
What?
It should be on
what's
website,
saying?
I think. It'll
I've
be on website.
downloaded their. I've got the Advanced UK immigration policy. It's on that. And
Yeah,
Advanced
actually,
UK culture.
I've got a notepad somewhere where it falls, but I can't remember where it is.
Is that on the immigration policy?
I would have said probably culture.
Everybody keeps saying that I'm spot on something, and I've forgotten what I was talking about.
Just a quick one for Mr. Waffle. My channel name is quite literally good news dash bad news. I actually put a video up today and a short already. So,
But surely good news minus bad news equals mediocre news, surely.
well, no, it's the good news, it's the bad news, and it's
Yeah, but
everything in
dash,
between.
minus,
That's what I was going
good
for.
news, good news minus bad news equals mediocre news. Just call yourself mediocre news.
I like good news, bad news. Anyway,
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's all right. Just a
Scrolling slowly, so if you miss it, it's your fault.
Okay, so let's have a look.
Ah, there's one.
Uh,
Can we just go back up a bit there, Wiz, to that one
tiny.
there? Yeah, that
It's
one.
like a
So-
postage stamp from here. Hold on, let me make screen big. Oh, that's better. I can see it now. It's
So
like
this
a
is
miracle.
what I mentioned earlier. I didn't know it was one of their policies,
Yeah.
but this
require all public servants to swear on a Bible. Or
It's a
take
carbon copy of Restore Britain. The only problem that Restore Britain have got with Advance UK is, same as I say, the ethnicity of Ben. Or we need to change Ben, not to anything bad, or as you know, as just as a chairman of the college, which he's even advocated for himself. Even he's said that he'll do that if it takes that. You know, why am I always at the bottom? I mean, at the bottom, or I'm.
It doesn't say about other religions in here, though. That's the thing on here. I mean, it says protect our Christian heritage. I mean, I don't know whether that means like looking after the actual buildings and the tradition, or whether they mean the culture and how they would do that. Not quite sure about that. The bit about churches is clear, but yeah, it's re-establishing a commitment to the values is a good statement, but I'm not sure how it's actually being implemented from what it says.
Well, to require all public servants to swear on the Bible, so that's not the Quran or anything like that, or take a non-religious oath, which acknowledges that this country is built on Christian land. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
no, I get that one. It's the second one that I'm not so sure about.
Protect our Christian heritage, so protect the churches and you know all that.
And what about other religions, though? Are they treated equally in the advanced system, or
it might tell you later down the thing?
Okay,
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it might mention something like
that. So to do that, and then you know, protect churches from becoming like mosques and things like that. You
there
know.
we go.
Yeah.
Okay. So, right. Okay. Fund councils for key cultural moments. It's interesting that it mentions Christmas and Easter there. So again, reiterating the Christian aspect.
Yeah. Only English in the public sector. So that would include Bengali language, or whatever they call it, that spaghetti language that they use around Whitechapel.
I know the one.
Yeah, you know the one.
That already happens, though, because in all of the schools I worked in, well, actually, no, it didn't in the independent school I worked in, but there you didn't even have school uniforms and they called you by your first name. But in the grammar schools I worked in, they had Christian assemblies, they had hymns, they used to go to the cathedral.
Were you in the private, though? Were you in private sector?
Only for 1 year. There was state grammar schools.
Yeah, I think this would be relating to all educational establishments, including comprehensive, etc. I'm a comprehensive lad.
Yeah, I went to a comprehensive school.
Yeah. The national anthem is a hymn.
Yeah, it is an hymn. Yeah, national anthem is. Yeah.
That doesn't get very.
To be honest, I know Lord's Prayer, but I don't know our national anthem. I just start mumbling in the middle. To be honest, I was not taught that at school, so there you go.
Okay, when we
I still say with Queen. I haven't reverted to saying King just yet.
I haven't.
It doesn't feel right. God save our gracious King. There's nothing gracious about sausage fingers.
When people say the Pope, I still think John Paul II, because he is always going to be the Pope in my mind. Same. It's always going to be
Sorry, did you see the Andrew Gold interview with that lady? And she's saying that she was told by someone that the king, apparently secretly converted to Islam.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, I did. That was the journalist, wasn't it?
I would not be surprised anyway.
He's the head of the Church of England.
He's the defender of faiths. Defender of faiths is his new title.
He's been learning Arabic specifically so he can read the Quran.
So he can read the Quran.
Why else would you learn Arabic?
It mentioned on that list to celebrate national figures.
Churchill, etc.
To celebrate national figures and places of national interest. So, what national figures and why?
Churchill.
Or anybody on the quick look at your pound notes at the moment. Look at your pound notes before they change it towards
Churchill,
Dickens,
Dickens,
everybody.
Austin,
Chaucer.
Yeah.
There's plenty.
No, you're supposed to be ashamed of them.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be ashamed. What are you on about?
Yeah, exactly.
So do you think that they should have something like in schools they could have a specific like a fortnightly lesson where they learn about a specific historic British figure and why they're important.
So
So
our
That'd
houses,
be a good idea.
our houses at my comprehensive school, we had Fry, Newton, Shakespeare, and what was the other one? Can't remember the other one, but we had those all the way through school. You know what I mean? As a house, or whatever house you're in.
Did you learn about those figures?
Yeah, in history and things like that. Yeah.
They did that at Fort Pitt Grammar School, where they all had different women who had done something. Like they had Nightingale.
Newton. I was actually in Newton, and it was Newton as well. So Newton.
Well, the interesting thing about them having Nightingale House was that Florence Nightingale did actually work in the building, because before it was a school and then a technical college, it was a military hospital for Crimean soldiers coming back. So it was good to have that continuity there, and also the fact that Queen Victoria had personally visited the hospital. Yeah. That building really did make you feel that you were part of tradition. Now going back onto here, prohibit dual nationality.
Yeah,
see, that would link with the suggestion I mentioned the other day about what if we dissolved Britain as an entity as it is currently and issued a separate Welsh, Scottish, English, Northern Irish passport, and then there's a British one for anyone else.
Right.
I don't think Scotland would be able to buy themselves out because they owe us too much money. So we would have to eradicate the debts of those countries to England in order to separate. And I think that might be taking a very large step backwards in regards to what we've managed to build as a UK. But personally, that's
it is important though to re-establish our sovereign identity, though.
Yeah.
Well, what we could have is, if you've got your English passport, your Scottish, your Irish, your Welsh passports, you could then also have the people that are, coming here from another country that want to take citizenship of this country, instead of them being designated an English blah 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 blah, they're designated a UK passport so that we can then identify.
That's exactly what I think.
Yeah, that's a non-native and that's a native. So there is a clear distinguish.
And I would take that a step further, and I know that this wouldn't go down at all well with the left, but I would assign different rights. So they would hate that because then you've got a two-tiered society, but I think we have to. And I think that the people who have a national passport, so therefore they're not citizens, they are actual proper ancestral residents, they should have rights to automatic free healthcare, priority housing, and other social benefits. And I think that those who have come here are citizens and have a British passport should have to pay for their national health service. They should have to pay extra on their council tax for the services, and they should have other areas where they have to contribute more for a certain time period, say 10 years, by which time they can acquire residency status. And then if they have assimilated well enough and they've contributed well enough, then they can be given a resident English passport.
Yeah, I think the whole non-natives not being able to use things like the NHS or the benefits
system. Of course not, because it's a national.
Yeah, that's been proposed by Restore. That's one of their policies.
Yeah. Well, it's also so it'll be one of Advanced UK's. Yeah, I mean, and all of these on here are basically making England acidic towards Islam. You know what I mean? It's making it kind of, well, I don't want to go there, look, because there's no Sharia courts or council, there's no public calls to prayer, there's no niqab, we can't marry our own cousins and stuff like that. So that's all kind of passive ways of getting rid. You know what I mean? That's all passive ways of getting rid.
We should be banning first cousin. We should be banning all cousin marriage, because first cousin then can move on to second, third, fourth. It's still within the family. We should be banning cousin marriage. Full stop.
I don't think there's any birth defects though with second cousins. I'm
Still,
not
still should
100%.
be banned. It's wrong.
Yeah, it should still be banned.
The third point, I think, is the problematic one on this one. No Sharia courts or councils. I mean, how are you going to stop them? They're already happening. That's the big thing. You don't know what goes on behind closed mosque doors.
Exactly. You shut them down.
And
Yeah,
what
it
would
was
happen
in the
if you
news.
shut them down?
Well,
I think you know what would happen if you shut the mosques down.
Well, then that's just proving what they are, isn't it? I don't know. It's just terrible.
Hard, isn't it? It's really hard.
Yeah.
Because that is what we want, but to get to where we want, we've got to do it carefully.
Yeah.
To avoid a war.
Yeah. But these are all draft formats, by the way. And members can talk amongst themselves, such as what we're doing right now. And I advocate for this every single stream that we do. Right, it's a bottom-up party structure. These people would actually listen to you, right? And the college will spitball ideas around, or add ideas that you might come up with, or we might come up with, and then make it into Parliament or as policy. You know, that's where all these ideas have come from. People like me and thee.
So
here's a question for you then. Are you going to ban the turban as well?
No, because no. Well, I don't know.
Because that's what
the question is that society hostile to us?
Exactly.
If that society is not hostile to us, then we don't need to act in a hostile way to them.
Absolutely.
Right.
Like
now,
I think by running that line, the risk that we face is that let's just go on whatever the right word. My brain is really tired. Whatever the right word. Yeah, it's theoretically that Islam overtakes Europe, the UK is all that's left. We, by segregating certain groups that at the moment are on our side, the Sikhs support the British, they support our way of life. By just saying, oh, you've got to remove all of your turbans, we are then turning that ally against us. I see that as a danger.
Yep, and
it leaves us alone.
You get this.
You're alienating groups of people we shouldn't be alienating.
You try and get this through to restore Britain. Good luck with that. You try and get this through to restore Britain. Yeah, they want to ban turbans on motorbikes. They want them to wear crash helmets.
Yeah, well, to be fair, for just from a safety point of view, that should be a thing. Like a turban is not going to stop you from cracking your head open.
No, but
like,
you're already
safety point of view.
You're already bandaged up, aren't you? So
if you're riding a motorbike, that's one specific situation. We're not talking
and you're
about
choosing to get on that motorbike as well, aren't they?
We're not talking about everyday life. Banning the turban in everyday life is a very different scenario to banning the turban being on a motorbike.
Banning the turban is where it started, really. But what I think you're raising there, Ace, and I think it's a really interesting angle, and this is what my current Substack article I'm working on is actually about, is I think recognizing it through the harm principle is the only way we can do it, because our current laws don't allow discrimination against a group. But whereas laws at the moment mention causing harm to other groups through, for example, speech, we should take that idea of harm and apply it to Islam and look at the harms that it causes society and then legislate for it in that way as a harmful phenomenon. I think that would give legal leeway in order to actually get somewhere with Islam.
Yeah. See, I mean, with turbans as well, I'm not sure how long it takes for them to take them off, because it holds all their hair in, doesn't it? They're not allowed to grow their hair, so it holds all their hair in. So then if they're going to take all that off to get on a motorbike to go to work, then how long is it? It's going to take them until closing time to get all their hair tidied up, isn't it? You know what I mean?
But they choose, but then we can't be doing all that because they choose to get on a motorbike. So if they're making that choice, they're making a decision to do whatever they got to do to put a helmet on. And I knew a Sikh growing up, and he had his hair cut. It took him 12.5 hours to cut his hair or something stupid like that.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
wow.
So they'll have to wear what
you can't just cut it; it's got to be done ceremoniously, I believe. But
the reason I mentioned it being where it started is because in '68, when Enoch Powell did the Rivers of Blood speech, that was a reaction to the Race Relations Act, which allowed people to wear turbans in public spaces such as work. And Powell's argument was, well, if you start doing that now, then eventually you're going to get everyone is going to want these protections. And of course, that is what we're seeing right now. And he said, rather infamously, that one day the black man will have the whip hand over the white man, by which, of course, he meant things such as we see now, where the white people are actually being quite openly discriminated against by every single other racial group, and yet their voice is taken away from them by their own government and their own laws. And there's something fundamentally wrong in that. And so in many ways, Powell was right about things. In fact, the thing that Enoch Powell was wrong about wasn't what he said about immigration. It was the scale of it. When he was talking, he was worried because the immigration at that point was 20,000 people a year. You just think there was almost 1 million in 2023 in just 1 year.
Yeah. Is there anything else on the list, Wiz? I know you've made us all big.
That was the last slide that we were
Well, that
looking
last
at.
one. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
With the burqa and that.
Anything you do with Islam is going to cause problems. I think the only way you can really tackle it is by looking at how can we prevent the most harms in the most safe way.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's from my own perspective. I don't expect everyone to agree with what I'm saying, obviously, but I don't think it's right for us to
well, how many Indians have been killed on motorbikes? How many Indians have been killed on motorbikes because they're not wearing crash helmets?
No idea.
I
I
don't
ain't
know.
heard of any.
But
So-
I don't personally. I don't think it's right for us to segregate groups that we know aren't looking to harm us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Personally, that's my view. I don't expect everyone to agree with me.
I mean, look
but
at Ben Habib. He's not.
see that as being a problem.
Ben Habib isn't there to harm anyone. Yet they seem to have taken this stance whereby they don't want Ben Habib in because of his ethnicity.
Do you think that is the reason why?
I heard it on. I don't really watch Dino Bain anymore, but I watched this one because he had Graham Moore on, and I've actually timestamps. I sent it to you. Wiz, have you had a look yet?
What?
I sent it to Wiz the link.
What did you think about what was said about Ben Habib?
Well, it's kind of the complete opposite to what Ace is saying. You know what I mean? Is a perfectly patriotic British person. Now, I won't go as far as to say English because that will ruffle some feathers. You know what I mean? I'd say that he's definitely a patriotic Britishman. And he's never changed once on any of his stances or anything like that. I mean, it could have just down tooled and said, right, sod this, I'm just going to collapse Advance UK and I'm going to go and join Rupert's party. But he didn't do that. And it is such an honest politician.
The angle is a fair criticism, or do you think that really in this day and age it's out of order?
Yeah, out of order for this day and age. Yeah, I think it's out of order. I think they're going too far down the ethnic route. I understand where they're coming from, but I think they're going too far down the ethnic route by getting rid of someone like as patriotic as what Ben is.
I would say with the ethno route, there is actually a bit of precedent for this in our law. I looked into what's it called now? It's a particular type of visa, ancestry visa.
Yeah.
To get an ancestry visa, you just need to have one grandparent that was British, and then you can apply for one. So there are already ancestry and ethnicity laws that are in place. But I think what you're looking at there is you're saying that they don't really apply to modern society. Would that be right?
I think we've got quite used to having multiculture, and like people are getting away from the problem that is actually apparent with all of the illegal migrants.
Can I just push back on something there, Richard?
Of course you can.
You said there that people are used to, or words to that effect, are kind of used to multiculturalism right now. I would say where I live, that isn't the case at all. Here is 99% white. If you see someone that's brown, it's unusual.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, but that's other side of the spectrum. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that the national picture is again, it's not as clear as we think it is, because the cities and the rural areas are.
I agree. Yeah, it's a complete mess. Yeah, and you've got but it's certain demographic that's making it bad, isn't it?
Yeah, with a certain one that we don't have here and don't want here.
Exactly. Yeah. So that certain demographic I do not agree with. Obviously.
Is it right to criticise all Muslims because of the behaviour of a handful of them?
Not all of them, no. And that's odd filter. I understand that it is odd filter. Because I'm in no power to be able to filter that, because they're all good Muslims, obviously. But it's the ones that
they all follow the same book, though, don't they?
That's where I was going to go with that.
Yeah,
they all follow the same book. They know that radical Islam is a massive problem in the world, yet they still follow that book.
So
like I said in one of the last lives, it's not the moderates that matter. The radicals always control the moderates. You've only got to look at Nazi Germany to prove that. What significance did the moderate German play? They didn't.
Exactly.
They were controlled by the radicals.
Anyway,
I've got the answer, guys. Sorry, I've got to jump in. I've got a bloody good memory because I lived for it. I've even got cups and everything. I even used to get called Del Boy because I was wheeler dealing. I've come up with the idea. Here it is. There is your Sikh crush helmet.
Let's have a look.
It looks like a Smurf.
I've just got your nose on here. I've just got your nose on here. Why is it? It's there you go. Del Boy, yeah.
Don't call me Dave. They don't make TV like that anymore. I still think one of my favourite episodes with that was the one with the two chandeliers. Where you've got Grandpa up in the and he undoes the wrong chandelier, and then bloody brilliant.
It's classic. Yeah, I did have the whole box set. I don't know where it is.
That's a superb example of British culture, though, isn't it? That appeals across the board to people, even though it's taking the piss out of the working classes. Everyone can relate to the characters that are in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But is that world existent today?
No. Well,
we look at where it's set. Peckham.
I think there's remnants.
Only due to all the imports. The imports,
the remnants of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, to say there's remnants of it because we've still got the generations around that brought that in. When those generations are gone, those ideas will go with them.
Yep.
But is that character, the Del Boy type, do they still exist?
I'm sure they're everywhere, but just a little less obvious than maybe.
Or are they just drug dealers now?
Well, they're all millionaires, aren't they, at the moment?
Oh yeah.
What, Paul Thorpe? Paul Thorpe? Would he be classed as a Del Boy type? No, it's Sam Paul. I just mean the way that he talks. That's all. Middle London, into apples and pears and all that.
Got the accent, yes.
There you go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You plonker.
You plonker, Rodney. Yeah.
But I think it's, going back to what we're saying, that idea of causing harm, I think is something that really should be pursued, because we can't deny the fact that Islam has caused demonstrable, measurable harms to our society. And that for that reason, we should legislate against it. That's why I got pissed off yesterday. I don't know if you saw this, that fucking idiot Dawn Butler, who's always complaining about racism. She complained about Katie Lamb's speech in Parliament and said that it was racist. And that the Islamic threat isn't what we have to worry about. It's far-right extremism.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
she might change her mind if Islam takes over the country.
It just shows how perverted their logic is. Because the reason that she's saying that, and she would say, no, my evidence would be Joe Cox was killed by a right-wing terrorist. Therefore, you're a bigger threat. No Islamist has ever killed any politician from this country. And it's such a perverse way of looking at the world, I think. But that's how they do it.
Yeah.
I think the fact that Muslims kill themselves more than they kill anyone else is a big indicator of how dangerous Islam actually is.
So something else about Ben Habib as well. All that those racial slurs that we're getting. You must have seen it on TikTok. Paul Thorpe did a piece on it where he went all the way down the 3-minute long list when he was scrolling down it. I'll tell you what Ben hasn't done. He hasn't pulled out the Islamophobia law and report all those people for slandering his name. He hasn't done that. I haven't heard anything about it anyway. Maybe keep our ears to the ground, see whether or not he does.
It does
but I can guess what sort of things you're saying that people were.
Oh yeah. Feck off home, you pocky and stuff like that. Yeah.
It does state those who could be perceived as Muslim as well as those who are.
It does say that.
Well, Ben's half Pakistani. You know what I mean? But he's Christian now. He's been baptized by his father-in-law, I believe. His father-in-law is a Christian priest or something.
And so for you then, Richard, that's perfectly fine. That makes him as British as everyone else. He's got the same values. He's got the ancestry.
What he stands for is brilliant. And he's
he is half English as well, of course.
Yeah, and his great-grandfather fought in World War I and II, from what I recollect.
So you would completely refute on all grounds the ethno-nat argument with Ben Habib?
I would. I think he's an integrated. He's integrated. He's a perfect example of an integrated person, if you ask me.
What about Zia Yusuf?
No, I don't like him.
No,
I don't know who he is. Who is he?
Either.
Where did he appear from?
Who is he?
There's videos.
Was it something
to
do with
videos.
I don't know.
Not only that, but also he threw his toys out the pram when they brought up the ban the burqa, when Sarah Poetry brought out the ban the burqa thing. Then he suddenly reappeared again as stronger in the party, you know what I mean? So what kind of strings were he pulling there? I just do not trust the guy at all. No.
There's videos of Zia Yusuf on YouTube. This is before he was in Reform, where he was in America talking with an American accent. And then he's over here talking with an English accent. Sorry, but that is highly suspicious.
Yeah. What's he doing?
Like that idiot who pretended he was a footballer. I can't think what his name is now. He works for Sadiq Khan, and he pretended that he played for Real Madrid and things like this, and they believed him.
No.
Sad IQ can't.
Yeah, sad IQ.
It was on Charlotte Gill's channel. She's very good. For those who don't know her, she actually is a proper journalist. Does not undercover investigative work, mostly looking at waste of money from government.
The only Muslim type that I would trust in Reform right now, because I know there's a few. I think it's about 70% of their front bench or something, isn't it? Now all Muslims that they've got in there is Suella Braverman.
She's not Islamic, is she?
She's
Buddhist.
All right.
Yeah,
well, there you go. Then that's why I trusted her.
So you think that no Muslim can be trusted?
No. Sorry. Yes. I don't know. I don't know. I've now been pushed into the bottom left-hand corner.
No, I'm not trying to judge you or anything. I'm just trying to understand that.
I'm not. No, I don't think all Muslims are bad people. No.
Because
if you follow Islam, get out of UK politics. You have no point. You have no position in government. Wrong.
No, I agree.
That's fair.
We don't have religion and government as the same thing, and we haven't done for over 200 years.
Yeah.
300.
It's even written in the Constitution, People's Constitution 1689, I think it is. No foreign person or prelate shall be allowed in Parliament. Now, I think we've moved forward with that a little bit because I trust Ben Habib, obviously. So I'm being sort of like, what's it there, aren't I? I suppose I'm kind of saying that I believe in that, but I don't. If you like, I can't think of a big word for it, but yeah.
I think we need to reevaluate the Constitution, and we need to make sure it's up to date.
Whereas Graham Moore is holding that as a thing that's relevant for the current day and age. Is holding that law as it was, as it is.
Who do we trust to do that though? Because the judges at the moment seem pretty captured.
They do.
So you have to go through a process of rooting out who's good, who isn't good.
Well, I think look at that one that wanted a bloody an airport in Pakistan. What the hell has that got to do anything to do with England? What has that got anything to do with England?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it would caught up
It's
about something other day as well. It would caught up about something. I can't remember what it was, but it was the same bloke. You know, yeah. Anybody
With
moaning
that
about
Muffin Ali as well, going on
and
about
him.
Gaza.
and him? Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, that's our Simon.
Yeah, but
Out,
then you
Simon,
got
you're
that
right.
Shahid Butt, who's a bloomin' convicted terrorist.
Butt.
Oh yeah, you can
I
you
know.
can as a
I
councillor.
forgot him. Yeah, he was in Birmingham, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
Convicted terrorist. Yes, in fact, yes, because I did write an article about this actually, and it was entitled "Why the fuck is an Islamic terrorist allowed to stand for Parliament?"
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. No
Shouldn't
sense.
shouldn't be allowed to happen. No, so a change has got to happen in law then that prevents people from having religious views or that prevents politics and religion becoming entwined again.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially ones that
I think-
the ones that in general, you know, want to cause us harm. I don't think they should be allowed in Parliament at all. Also, that Graham Moore thing that I mentioned, it's on Dino Bain's channel. I mean, in no way that I'm, you know, recommending that channel, but this particular one where he's interviewing Graham Moore, you ought to look at that because he also goes into Fabian Society in depth.
He does.
Yeah. Oh, have you seen it?
I have seen it.
The one from last night.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've
someone
not
else
seen
with as much time to spend on the internet as what I do.
No, it wasn't that. I was because I've got a lot of guitars. I like to buy parts and I build guitars and I like to listen in the background. So I was there last night, you know,
Listening to
tinkering away, putting things together and listening. And I thought some of the stuff he said was quite interesting. Some of it I think wasn't quite accurate. He does know what he's talking about. It did make me laugh sometimes. He did mispronounce some words that always sounds funny when people do that. I laughed when he called them ethonats. That an ethnicist was quite a funny one. But yeah, he knows what he's talking about. You know, he is an autodidact. He taught himself whilst in prison, and I respect him for that. He knows the law, and if that is right that we need a constitution, we need a Bill of Rights updated.
Yeah.
But the difficulty there is who decides what rights we have, or do we just do something like
referendum?
The American?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think the public via referendum, like we had referendum for whether we should leave the EU. I think where decisions that need to be made that affect the entire country, those decisions should be mandated that they're put to referendum.
Yeah.
Why should a select group of people get to dictate the way the whole country lives when it's the whole country that has to live that way?
Well, you know, I mean, did you not say vote restore?
Well, I think the problem with that proposal it's a good one, is that yes, you could do that if you've got a Bill of Rights in place, but you've got to agree first on what goes in that Bill of Rights, and you can't have a referendum for every single point you want included, else it'll just take forever.
Yeah, it's also protected by something else, isn't it? Changing it. It's protected by something, I can't remember what it is.
It's really legally complicated, but it's possible if somebody has got a legal team and a political will to do it.
Yeah, you see that it should be.
And I agree that something needs to happen, for sure.
Should be the public. Should be the public. And Advance UK gives us that choice.
I knew you were going to say that.
On Islam.
Gives us
take it back though, Richard. Like one thing Ben Habib did to say that he's obviously talking straight out of his arse was saying that Nana Akura is English and British. No, she's not.
Well, this is why we need a different leader.
I mean, that's just so wrong. It's just like, how can you say that?
Yeah, but we can vote in a different leader via the power of this channel.
So I would say to that, Wiz, does it matter?
Yeah, it's kind of like the. It's kind of like
if we're talking, no. But if you are a leader of a party and you are representing something and you get something wrong, that's worrying.
So
I'm not going to say
seeing it in
the
as
world.
a political, right?
Yes.
So
who he is as a political
yeah.
influence or whatever. It's like saying Greens and that going, oh right, yeah, we're going to do a massive campaign. We're going to do it in Urdu. Hang on, Let me
Yeah.
look. That's going to get
But
your
he's
alarm bells.
politicized racial identity for a reason, is what your argument would be in that case.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
It would cause me concern the fact that he got it wrong and he's in that position. If it was you and I'd say, oh, I'd question it to you and say, hang on, I disagree, blah blah blah. But that's you and I talking, two blokes. There's nothing we're doing tomorrow that could change anything. We have that position.
Let's suppose we're on Novara Media or something like that, and I'm on the left wing. The response that they would say is, well, is that because Nana Akua is black?
No, it's because of who her parents are, and it's because of her DNA.
Right, and then
it's
they
nothing
would
to
say,
do with the color of the skin.
So why is that important? What her DNA is?
The color of the skin is actually affected by your DNA. So DNA and color of skin are linked.
Yeah, they want this ethno-nat or whatever their narrative is. To me, I really don't give a crap. I mean, if you're in this country and you're paying tax, you're doing this, you're doing that, and you are actually a good person, and you are a good, honest person, I couldn't care less. I really couldn't care less. But for the sake of this argument, I would say, because what they're coming across as and saying, oh, ethno-nat, and it's all got to be 100% English as well as British, obviously, because you're born here. Then for that argument, yes, that you could say something to. But between you and I'll be like, mate, honestly, I don't care.
So would I be saying then that you're saying that just because somebody is of British ancestry, that doesn't necessarily make them a good person? So it's a ridiculous way of organising a country.
Sorry, say that again.
So are you saying then that just because somebody is of the same ancestry, just because someone's English, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're a good person, just by default of being English?
Does it mean they're a good person just because they're English?
Yeah.
Well, no, because blimey heck, how many English people do you know that are probably rapists and they go around burglaring?
I don't know any rapists.
You know what I mean?
I'll have to just say.
Well, again, it's someone
who's
that's the point. It's someone who's patriotic.
No,
someone who's patriotic who's British. But
they're already in this country. They are here by right. As is Nana Akua, because she's British. She's not English. She's not English British. She's just British because she was born here. But her ancestry, she is not English. So I mean, that's why I think this whole narrative is wrong.
Because so many slips have been made. Because so many slips have been made now by Ben, right? Regarding this situation, we don't really care, right? But people do out there, and now they're calling Ben whatever they call it. I know they shouldn't. I know they shouldn't. But this is why we need to change the leader. And yes, you can do something about it tomorrow. If you got Ben Habib up here, and then you said to Ben Habib, we'd like to call a referendum within the college to get a new leader, he'd do it. So yes, you can do the difference. You know what I mean? Because that's what the party does, and this is what we need to keep pushing, because more and more people are supporting the other side. Which
that's true. What I hope that anyone listening or watching is gathering is that it's all very well and good to sit there on YouTube in the comments or talking as a guest on somewhere and saying, look, we need to do this, we need to do that. Yeah. When you actually talk about the solutions like we've just been doing for the past hour, you can see that it's not black and white. You cannot just say, right, we're going to do this. Yeah. Because always a whole load of buts that you have to deal with beforehand.
See, every other party, it's all down to the head of that party. But not with Advance. This is the structure of Advance. This is what people don't seem to be able to comprehend. You know what I mean? If they put a proper question, right, that we haven't heard of, or the college haven't heard of, it gets put through a filter system, if you like, an automatic filter. Just like people shouting, "Oh, hello, I'm here" on TikTok, on Twitter or whatever, on Rupert Lowe's. That's his idea of democracy. And if you ask me, that's just chaotic, because then you're just shouting over people who are just saying, "Oh, hello, yeah, I'm here," kind of thing on Twitter, and you're having to get your sensible question up and then find out whether or not it's a sensible question or a sensible solution to something that's happening. You can't do that with Restore. You've got to trust that Rupert is going to make all the correct decisions on your behalf, if you ask me. At the moment, yeah. But if it's not at the moment, and then he decides to do like a college structure, then why didn't he allow the college in? And this is where, from Advanced UK, why didn't he amalgamate the college in with the thing? So this is why I'm going on about it might be to do with Ben's ethnicity. This is where I think that we need a different leader.
Well, going back to what
it
says
deeper
here,
than that.
I don't know. We can stipulate and stuff like that. All I can go on is just evidence that I have, such as Graham Moore talking with Dino Bain last night. I can go with that kind of evidence, and also didn't Graham Moore used to be in Restore Britain for a bit?
Past.
I don't know.
Until yesterday, I'd never heard of him.
I'd heard it was only through chat on this channel. I nearly said station on this channel. I heard it on chat that he so who knows what that
Well,
means.
I think what the bigger issue is that we're circling around is we can see in the comment that's up on the screen here, and in the comments that have been said about Ben Habib, is does it matter if somebody isn't of British ancestry, and are people making moral judgments based on where somebody's from?
It's kind of going back to the 1940s, isn't it? The state of politics at the moment is going back to the 1940s. I don't want to say people calling people ethno-nats. Well, I think what we need to realise is that there are some good people out there who are patriotic, such as Nana Akura, and if there's been a Freudian slip or whatever by them saying, oh yeah, she's English or whatever, it shouldn't really matter. But unfortunately, in this political climate, it does matter. Yeah.
Well, I think,
but then you've got people like Neil saying like she's not British when she's born.
Exactly.
Well, so she is British by birth, but by DNA and whatever you want to say, she is not English.
Yeah, but what the conversation is that Ben was saying English when
what about her children? Are her children British?
Well, yeah, they should.
But
be.
That's what they were saying. Like within, whether it's how many generations. Because obviously where she's born here, then obviously her kids and then her kids' kids, like how far back can you go? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's why I picked the ancestry visa, because that says that to get an ancestry visa, you need to have one grandparent who is British born.
Yeah. Not only that, but it's also muddying political waters, isn't it? When you think about it, if it's starting to stop one party,
he's another African man rather than an English man. Because then, if it's not an English man, then the English DNA won't be going through. Yeah. And then one of her
married
kids,
to an English man?
I have no idea.
Let's suppose that she is. But just for the sake of this discussion, let's suppose she marries an English man. Are her children then English?
Or the children will then be half English,
half African.
Yeah. Yeah. And they'd be British.
An argument that it's just
their children married into British people, then they would be a quarter African, 3/4 English.
And at that point, do they then count as English, or do they still count as African?
Do they?
Did their mother and father come over here, through the correct routes?
I mean, are they at that point, after 3 generations, do they still look African?
No, I don't see.
They might not.
That's what I'm saying. It's a horrible,
lighter.
horrible.
The facial features would be different because of the DNA from the white, as opposed to the DNA from black people. The facial features would be different. Skin tone would be different.
Dispute that, because a friend of mine is half Jamaican, and you would never know. You would think that she was white English.
Until she brings out a bifter about this long. Until she brings out a bifter about this long. She's alive.
But yeah, again, Neil, we're not saying she's English. We're saying she's British because she was born here. Her DNA will be that. That's why she's British. Otherwise, we'll be saying like she's English. Her DNA is not English. We keep saying that. She's British. She was born here. She is not English. So yes, her DNA will say if she's from Africa. then so be it. That's where it is.
Okay.
But she was
I would
to
say
say
to that then, Wiz,
British. But
and
it's a
this
horrible.
is for the argument here, for the argument's sake, the leftists would say, right, why does that matter? What's the difference between British and English? Who cares?
Yep.
And what do you think? What do you think the difference is? And does it matter, or is it important?
With someone like Akira
You
now,
know,
someone like Ben.
English is like, you know, your mum and dad are born and bred here, as are their mum and dad, as is their mum and dad, as is their mum and dad. Whereas
As were mine.
British,
I think all it's just a diversion tactic, really. It's just making us argue between ourselves over who's English and who's British.
Thank you, Richard.
Whereas
You've just said what I wanted to say, because if you watch Nuria's new video, that is the conclusion she comes to at the end.
Of course it is.
And
Yeah, I mean, listen to us for now. Yeah.
I think the problem that we've got is that the UK is in a very unique situation. We're pretty much the only country in the world that has varying terms to refer to people that live in that country. We're literally one of the only countries in the world that have that. If you look at Japan, look at China, look at anywhere, if you're Indian, there's no, you know, the United Kingdom of India, it's just India. Whereas the UK has a very unique situation. We are four kingdoms in one kingdom. We're in a very unique situation. The problem that's left us in is which would take us back to Jake's point of dissolving the UK and reinstating England, Scotland, Wales, blah, blah, blah. It's put us into this position where people are able to say, I'm British because I was born in the UK.
Actually.
The UK is in a very unique...
A horse?
Sorry?
Is a dog born in a stable a horse?
No.
Well, then is being born somewhere really relevant to your citizenship?
When I actually looked this up the other day,
because my mum, for example, was born in Germany.
The only one.
Yeah, there's not very many countries in the world. There are only, I think it was like 30 to 40 countries in the world that recognize you as being a citizen of that country if you're born there. The majority of the world rejects the idea that you are a citizen of that country if you're born there. Majority of the world.
Exactly.
I actually looked that up the other day because it wasn't something that I had any knowledge on. So,
and you're exactly right, because like I said, my mum was born in Germany. She's not German. She was born in Germany because my grandfather was in the RAF and he was stationed there in the 50s. So that makes perfect sense.
This is also the reason why my sister didn't vote for the German right-leaning party. Go on. German right-leaning party.
AFD.
AFD. I said to her, like, you need AFD, Lisa, and she said to me, she says, well, that means that my kids would get, deported out because she only listens to the mainstream media over there. I said, don't be daft, of course you wouldn't, because my sister left for Germany, all properly, all with the visas and everything, so as he could go, so her husband could. She worked for aerospace or something over there. He works for BMW, designs wheels and stuff. I'm very proud of him, right? And they've got 2 kids, very well spoken, Queen's English properly. Yeah, Queen's English. Our Lisa's now selling German bacon over there as English bacon because they've cut it different. They can't get it over there because of the EU laws. You know what I mean? They can't get British bacon. So she's actually done her own little business of doing that. Yeah. It's very salty. It's very salty because they had some problem with potassium or something like that. Probably because they were making it all into bombs. I don't know what they've been up to. But my sister, in 1940, but my sister said, she said, so what does that make my kids then? Are they not German? I couldn't really answer her. I said, well, yeah, they are. They're German, I suppose. I don't know. Where did that question come from? I was just saying you need to vote for AFD so you can get rid of all Islamists out of
you know what country. I think would be the thing that would probably have the most effect on us that we could do immediately would be to leave the ECHR and to start a national emergency rebuilding program. I think those 2 things would have a massive overnight success.
Those are both policies
about enough.
They are policies of advance as well. Leave the
Good.
ECHR. Yeah. Get the EU. Get Ireland out of the EU. Get out of the ECHR, and then we can govern our country as we please.
When you
without
say
any,
island,
yeah.
Southern Ireland.
I don't know what Northern. I think Northern Ireland.
Why
Is it-
should I?
Northern Ireland aren't in the EU; they're part of the UK.
Apparently, they're in the EU still.
What does advanced
Northern Ireland,
does?
Northern Ireland is still in the EU.
are they?
Cork. Where's Cork? That's
Cork's
Northern Ireland.
Southern Ireland.
Oh, is
Cork,
it?
Southern, yeah.
Oh, it might be Southern then.
Yeah, pretty sure it's Southern Ireland that's still in the EU because the
Yes,
border was what was
yeah,
creating the
correct.
problem between Northern
go.
and Southern with the EU situation, from what I remember. But
Yeah.
again, my
yeah.
brain's really tired, so I
All-
might be wrong on that.
Yeah, the only kind of like the only evidence I've got for that is what I've heard from Ben, but I thought that were Northern Ireland, to be honest. And then this guy that I watch from Cork, and he's designing his own little garden railway for his farm, so he's able to put peat up and down, you see, and he says I would get these bearings that he needed for his train from England, but unfortunately it takes about 8 weeks to get over here because of the EU. So that, and I know that he's from Cork, that's why I said that, you see. So
That's the layer that we have to contend with, is all of the EU bullshit that we've been left with. That's
absolutely
all the leftovers from the shit Brexit that they gave us. That's got to be sorted out if people want to do something. I mean, we're all assuming here that whoever gets in power is going to want to make these changes. For all we know, it could be Labour and the Greens that get in.
Yeah, God forbid.
Don't underestimate.
Yeah.
This on
It's
screen
agreed.
here,
But this is
Go on.
absolute rubbish, because as soon as I saw it, I thought I'll Google it, and it literally come out and said no UK government bill has ever declared that there is no indigenous English population. Such a claim is misleading and not based in fact. So please don't post misinformation. There's enough of that on the internet.
And Mr. Wasted Pot, two things. Number one,
Let's see.
do not waste pot. That's a crime. Number two, you spelled government wrong.
You
Try
spelled
and
what?
spell
Oh,
government
yeah.
correctly.
government.
Government, yeah. Government. I can remember that from my from our school. Yeah.
Yeah, because they
what-
govern, they don't govern.
Yeah, government. Our teacher always used to say that. Government. He used to say it like that. Government. Just so
It's
as we
funny how
spell it
you remember
right.
things from school, isn't it?
Yeah.
One of my
I
favourites
remember
is,
most of it, yeah.
and I like to say this one because it's one of those things where you've got a bit of pointless information that you can always share at some point.
Yeah.
Is it annoys me when people say H, because the correct pronunciation is H. And the reason that it's the correct pronunciation is because the original French word was ash, which came from the Latin and then the Anglo-Saxon. So originally the pronunciation was ash, and then that became H over time. But because it has a silent letter, people because the silent letter H isn't pronounced in French, but it is in English, people get it mistaken. So whenever everyone says H, just remember it's not. It's ash. Ash is H.
So we've gone from ash to hash, have we?
Yeah. But it's not correct to say hash, though. It's correct to say H.
Yeah. But most of a certain demographic over here, they don't say ask, do they? They say axe.
Oh, God. Why do they do that? Because that is a really interesting linguistic phenomenon, actually, because I have looked into this. It isn't just here that they do it. They do it in America as well. And there is there's some reason why they cannot pronounce the word as any other way than ox. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's no R in it.
No.
Wiz, say bath. Say bath.
Bath.
Where's the R in the bath? Where's the R in the bath? Where's the R in the bath?
Where's the R in laugh?
Where's the R in laugh? Laugh.
So
I say laugh.
vowels
Yes,
have
you would, yes.
wait
And glass.
where you're separating is vowels have multiple phonetics, consonants don't. Or there are a few consonants that do, but
Consonants.
all vowels
Consonants.
There are only a few consonants that have multiple phonetics. All vowels have multiple phonetics, which is why you could say bat and you could say oh god, I'm trying to think of another one. The A can be or ah.
Oh, so Bart.
Yeah.
Instead of back.
But no, my brain is too tired. I know what I'm trying to say, but I can't say it.
It's this one. Try and think of this. This will help you to understand it. Think of words with an OUGH endings. Then you can see how the vowels sound different.
Loughborough.
You've got tough, rough, thoroughfare, plough. Yeah, there's loads of different ways to
Peterborough.
Plough.
Yeah. Absolutely loads of them, and all of them are correct. So it's really confusing.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It is a confusing language, isn't it?
Richard, do you say grass, not grass?
Grass.
Yeah.
Grass.
Yeah. I'm going to guess, Richard,
I say
you are
grass.
You are, I would guess,
Muslim.
Staffordshire, Derbyshire area. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm actually 2 miles from the official centre of England. I know that there's a lot of those, but I'm 2 miles away from there, and I've got great grandma who used to live around the same area. It's
you know what it is, that how I guessed that is the O sound.
Oh.
Yeah, the way that the O is pronounced in that part of the country is quite distinctive. Like people from there they don't say always, they say always.
No, I say always.
You do you? Good. I'm glad to hear it.
Always.
Yeah, very
do you use
good.
the expression? Do you use the exprestion? All right, duck.
Yeah. All right, my duck. Yeah, all right, my duck. How are you going on? You're right.
He called you that earlier, Ace.
Do you fancy a chip cob or what?
You would never hear that round here, no way.
Translate. Go on. It's hello. Actually, duck is from. I think I've mentioned this a few times, but I'll mention it again. So duck is apparently from when a duke. I think it might have been the Duke of Portland. I'm unsure, but he was a big duke around here, and he gave away a lot of land to the common folk, and he gave away the land that's now like. Which actually they're using for chuffing HMOs now. He gave away a lot of land so people could make their own little farms in the forms of allotments.
Yeah.
There are plenty of allotments around here. Well, there used to be, but now the council are taking them away, and they shouldn't be able to. It should be against the law because it was given to us by the Duke. Now it then became, thank you, my Duke, thank you, my Duke, thank you, and that just translated to thank you, my duck, apparently.
Wow.
So
that was according to
say...
that was according to a poster that was up at like Newstead Abbey, which is a big abbey, maybe even where that Duke used to live. I don't know, but it's up there. It said, don't worry, don't worry. We're not. It's actually a term of endearment. We're not calling you an actual duck. We're saying thank you, my Duke.
No, I know.
I
know it's a term of endearment.
What I think is interesting about that is that you notice there the duty that the elites had at that point, that they would push their wealth back downwards to help people out. You don't see the corporations do that now.
No, it's because he owed a lot. He owed a lot of tax apparently, so he had to get rid of some of his land.
Yeah, there's always a reason for it. It's not out of decency.
One last one, Richard. Do you say the lion, the witch, and the wardrobe, or do you say tit lion, tit witch, and tit wardrobe?
No, that's Yorkshire. That is.
Yeah.
Why all the tits? What are you going on about, Ace? Is this you trying to get your
tit lion, tit witch, and tit wardrobe?
Yeah.
See,
a
tit on a lion, a tit on a witch, and a tit on a wardrobe. What on earth is going on in your head, young lady?
My stepfather's a Yorkshireman, and I remember he said to me once, "Put wood in pole, lad."
Yeah. He was a great baker, were our dad. Every morning he used to go past Norris and Turner's window. One day I went in there and he was talking to her for 3 hours. I knocked on the door and she said he's idiot playing with his dad's train set.
I'm on me chatter.
Yeah. Oi, get off my lawn and be disturbing my sheep.
Now you're taking the piss speaking like that. That's where I'm from, young man. You want to watch what you're saying, boy.
You want to watch what you're saying there, boy. Yeah.
Watch your mouth, boy.
One's not impressed.
Giving me squit like that.
Oh dear.
Classic.
Isn't it
Right,
extraordinary
let's
though, that England is
3
such
hours
a
20 minutes.
Oh wow!
So
Yeah, I'm all right.
we take it to 3.5 because we're 3.5. We could take it to 3.5 hours. I was like, what do you mean a half? 30? That blew my
Yeah.
mind.
Well,
No,
we're on a base
we'll go
of
for 3.5
60s.
hours because
Counted in base of
I'm back
60s.
tomorrow doing a live, but tomorrow's
Yeah.
live, a call in, but it's about absolutely anything. This should have been about Islam, but whatever.
Yeah.
But tomorrow's about absolutely anything, so it'd be quite interesting to see what.
When I
happened.
used to teach, one of the things we used to do at the end is we would always sort of kind of do a review about what things that we'd learned or what we could do better.
Mhm.
So, what have we learned today from this discussion, and what could we do better? I mean, are we completely fucked, or is there solutions that are out there?
Well, you've got to hope that there's solutions, haven't you? Do you leave this solution to one man in one party or the head of party? I don't know. I'm always going on about advance because I love the college structure, basically, because it gives the public a voice. Yeah.
But will it get people to get into power?
Sorry?
But do you think it's got enough potential to get people into power?
Well, obviously, it's still growing at the moment.
Yeah.
It's the political, it's the think tank, and not necessarily the way that we can remove people from power or change the leader. I think it's just the think tank and being able to get your voice into that think tank, and then maybe see it flourish into a policy for Parliament.
If it didn't, for example, get the traction that you'd like it to get, would that mean that you'd vote reform instead?
No, restore.
You'd vote restore.
Yeah.
As things stand.
Yeah.
What if neither of
I'd vote reform.
If I had to vote tomorrow, it'd have to be reform. Yeah, because restore aren't even a party as yet.
Yeah, I mean, right now that is the only option there is, really.
Yeah. At the moment, yeah.
And I genuinely think it will be a coalition once we get to the general election. I don't know.
Hopefully.
Well, that could actually end up being a good thing because, a lot of people on the right are wanting restore and advance to merge.
Yeah.
So that could actually work out to be a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just one quick one, because something came to mind that I think every European country should do. Mohammed Hijab, just as an example.
Oh,
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
He has been found. Yeah, he's been found to be giving extreme speeches in places like the Netherlands.
No way.
So I think if a country, if this could be implemented across the whole of Europe, this could be another way of getting Islam out of Europe.
Okay.
Is that if you are found, even if you are born in Britain, you're born in France, no matter where, if you are found to be giving extremist talks in any country that is in the West or has our point of view, that you are stripped of your citizenship. And if that leaves you stateless, then the only place you're going to be able to go back to is a Muslim country. So
gets my vote. Yeah.
I think that's something that all European countries should be doing.
Yeah, Ben's also on about banning all religious, what do they call it? Religious indoctrinations, religious things except for Christian. Religious, telling people to join our religion because this, that, and the other.
Proselytizing.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's right.
Which is what Islam has to do by definitions, and I agree because that's something that I've mentioned on another channel where I used to go on many times. That Muslims do not understand that to us it is deeply offensive to have their religion shoved in our face and told that it's great. That's as offensive to us as us saying to them, "Your prophet's a paedophile."
Yeah,
and they don't get that. But
this man wants to go in this lady's bathroom.
Yes, that's very true. But I think that a fundamental sort of backlash across Europe against Islam is something that I think is undeniably happening. and Islam only has to look at itself for that. You know, it doesn't do
It
itself
needs to be
favours.
more of a. It needs to be more of a coordinated effort, though. We're not going to do it as just one country. We need to be doing
mean
this
like-
together.
Do you mean we need a specific body to deal with it, like a United Nations type body?
Well, this is why we need to leave the EHR.
But they've become a target.
Ourselves.
Well,
And then it's up to.
not
It's
that
up
we haven't done it
terrorists.
before. We
It's
did it
up
with
to-
the Cold War, didn't we? We had an alliance then against an ideological enemy, so there's no reason why we couldn't do it again.
I think it has to be down to individual
They'd be
EU
planting
countries.
bombs around them. They were
It's
literally
have to be down to individual EU countries. I mean, they're already starting to do it, aren't they? In places, I can't remember I think there's about 4 different places now where they're telling EU to sod off. I know Poland's one of them.
Have you seen the clip of the
Oh,
guy
yeah,
throwing the
Poland are great.
explosive in America?
Oh,
Sorry?
in
Where
New
the-
York. Yeah.
Where the left
Yeah.
is saying that multiculturalism is great, and then this Islamist appears behind him and lobs a nail bomb that
Throwing
fortunately-
a nail bomb. in the
Fortunately,
crowd,
didn't go off. Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah, it
Mamdani, is
extinguished
it? Mamdani?
itself.
Just wrong.
It was to do with Mamdani. He's associated with it, yeah.
Hmm.
But there is a
I
massive
think he
problem
should
with
be. He should be removed. His wife has been proven to be supporting the IRGC. Like, how is that even? If you're in public office, your family should be following suit. What the bloody?
But he democratically
It's
got
almost like
voted in.
9/11 didn't happen. It's
Yeah.
literally like
it
9/11
didn't happen. It was all staged. It was all fake.
Well,
Of course.
well,
No, of
it
course
had
it
a
wasn't.
lot of Islamic countries all across the world cheering.
I
So
tell you,
My-
though, I don't know
my-
about anyone else, but when I heard that news on 9/11, I'd never even heard of the bloody Twin Towers.
oh, I had.
Nope.
I've
I didn't even know what it was.
I've been to New York and
Oh,
I
right.
got to see the Twin Towers once. I couldn't see the top of them because they were in the clouds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally in the clouds.
Yeah. So
My dad had a colleague that worked in the South Tower. So
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Did he get
And-
injured? Did he at all or anything?
He wasn't at work that day, and this
wasn't.
is why I
wasn't.
don't believe that was actually a terrorist attack. The amount of people that actually died from the Twin Towers, when you look at the capacity for both of those buildings, it should have been in the thousands of people that died.
yeah.
Thousands.
There's lady
Those
stopped-
buildings were not at capacity at all.
I think they just started working though, haven't they?
What, the Twin Towers? No, the Twin Towers have been around for
Twin-
ages.
No, just started working that day.
Yeah, they
Uh,
must have.
About 9 o'clock in the
early.
morning.
Yeah,
about
it's
9
about
in the morning.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I know I was in McDonald's and it was around lunchtime. New York are only 3 hours behind us, so
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
guess
it
where
would
I
have been like
was when
early
those
morning.
Twin
but-
Towers fell.
I mean, knowing me,
Where were you?
if it were me, I were always late for work. I was, so I'd have just been walking in like.
How
oh,
does
well,
that work,
lucky ones.
Jake? I say to you, never guess, and you go, "Where were you?" So I'll just give you the
No,
answer. You
I
want
know
to
I
make it
didn't guess,
easy?
did I? You were on the doors.
Piloting a plane.
Nope.
You
Did you give
were
up?
doing Air traffic control.
Definitely not. No.
No.
My son was born.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Literally,
Yeah.
I was in
That's
the
nice.
hospital. Yep, his
So
birthday
I
is
was at-
9/11.
I was at work working for my Turkish boss. I was at work, and my boss started dancing when the towers came down because obviously we're a television shop,
Right,
and he
hold
had
Punched
all
him
the
in the face
televisions
with
were
a
all
towel.
on. All the televisions were on. I wanted my job, and you know, watching him collapse, and then his mate come in. Mustafa, his mate what? Now his mate used to make all the kebab meats for around Nottinghamshire,
Oh, right.
right? And they were both Islamic, obviously. Yeah, I didn't know anything about this shit. You know what I mean? And he's there like dancing away, and his mate come in like, and he's there chest bumping and all this lot like dancing away. Yeah, a foot bush like this is going. So what are you on about? You know what I mean? No. Yeah, what political then? No, nothing about it.
I didn't.
You know what I
I
mean?
remember that.
And also his mate who did all these kebabs, he loans money. Yeah, because I were asking him, oh, what do you mean he loans money? He says, oh yeah, what kind of interest rates? Thinking it was some kind of mafia thing. He said, oh, there's none. I said, what do you mean there's none? Says there's no interest rates, so just borrow money off him. This bloke lived in this like massive palace in Nottingham, a beautiful place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What a fucking shit. Sorry for swearing.
I would have found it hard to restrain myself if I saw
I
someone
was,
cheering
I
at
was
something
young.
like that.
I was
Yeah.
young. I didn't know what on earth were going on, really. You know what I mean? Oh, well, how old would I be then? What, be about 23, something like that? I don't know.
I remember when the
I
first
was a
one
student
went
at the
in.
time.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I was
me
working
too. I was at college.
I worked in a book printers in the summer holidays to earn some extra money. And I
Yeah.
remember there putting these bloody books on a conveyor belt, bored out of my mind, and someone coming around very excitedly saying, "They've crashed a plane into the Twin Towers," and I just thought, "Where?"
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Another thing about this boss as well, obviously with his certain identification, you know, he was very easy to trigger. You know what I mean? You could do the slightest of thing. You know what I mean? Like maybe spill some coffee somewhere. If we were in a bad mood, it was the only brown person I ever seen turn red. You know what I mean? On it, literally, he had veins bulging out. And they were really such an angry man, so you couldn't really say anything to him. You know what I mean?
But they do. That's a cultural thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
We don't see that with English people. The rage that English people have is a different
in
kind.
front of customers as well. In front of customers, and just lose it, completely lose it. You know, just because maybe somebody had lost a sale or something like that because of something that he might have. You know,
it's to do with power dominance and showing your honour.
Yeah.
And if anything insults your honour, then you attack them viciously.
Yeah, that's it.
The extent of the British rage is that we get a pen and paper out and we write a very wordy letter. That's
an
the
anonymous
letter.
Rage. Yes, a snotty anonymous letter. That will do. That will show the buggers.
Yes. Unleash a leaflet campaign.
Yeah. No, we are too polite, but that is one of our endearing things, and we shouldn't let people take advantage, because one thing about British is we are lions.
I hope we don't lose that, because I think the danger that we face is that we go too far the wrong way, and that puts us in a place that we've worked really hard to get out of.
Indeed. Yeah.
I agree. There's a very real danger that we could end up in a right-wing dictatorship as well, where we could end up with something along the lines of a final solution where we see people get rounded up out of their houses and deported. That could happen.
There you go. Yeah. Whereas you'd have the choice with Advance UK.
And I'm not going to say whether or not that's a good or a bad thing. People can make their own mind up as to what they think about that. But is that the future that you want, or do you want something that is better than that? I mean, this is the moment where we're going to have to make that decision.
I think for me, like I said, I won't go on because I know it's obviously just gone the half-past mark, but again, for me, my worry is that the college could be infiltrated. We know that Islam practices taqiyya in order to advance Islam. They could just say, "Oh, we're not Islamic. I'm just a British person. I don't follow Islam." Get enough of them in, and then they all suddenly come out as Islamic. What are we going to do then?
Well, then
anything's possible.
Right,
that's the problem I have. Like with
how they roll.
Something like Rupert.
But you could say the same. You could say exactly the same.
No foreigners should be in governance.
Yeah, but you could say exactly the same about Rupert as well. You see, I mean, what happens if something happens to Rupert, and then, like, I don't know, somebody like Connor Tomlinson becomes the head of it? You know, then
Tomlinson. Oh, Jesus Christ!
Exactly. You see, or someone even worse. You know, at least with Advance UK, you know that the college are policing themselves and also being policed by us as well. You know, if we saw something like that rearing its ugly head, we'd say we'd decapitate that straight away. In a figure of speech, I don't mean.
Of course, no harm intended for anyone.
You know, politically decapitate that person or those people from politics. You know,
to
with
neutralise their political threat. Yes, of course.
Absolutely.
I've got a telephone you were call. Saying going all Islam on Islam.
It's me, Mum. I'll see you soon. All right, guys.
All right, guys.
See you now.
Take care. Thanks very much, Wiz. It's been a pleasure, and Ace.
Yeah,
it's been a good one. It's been quite interesting, actually. what we're talking about. So it all started with Michael. So, you know, that sort of helped really, because what he says
I would really love if we could do a live between, certainly with Jake involved, because I think he's got the right mindset to be able to pull that apart in maybe ways that I wouldn't be able to think of. But if we could do a stream between...
I don't know if you noticed it, but rather than challenge everything quite sort of aggressively, I did the opposite today, and let him speak about what he was saying instead. And I think that works better than you know, being.
Yeah, I did notice it a little bit, but I think he said he was open to stress testing because that's how you improve something.
Yeah.
So
fair play to him for volunteering to come and do it. You know, that's a brave thing to do.
I think that would be a really good and interesting thing to look at.
Yeah. My life's work, you've destroyed it.
I know, that's the thing. You have to be careful about things like that, but you also have to be honest to the discussion, and that's why I thought it was really important when I asked him earlier, and he didn't give an answer to this actually, as to whether or not his vision was for an ideal society that's abstract, or whether it's something that he wants to happen right now, because they're two different starting points and they completely affect how things are done. So it'd be nice to know what he's thinking about there.
I guess you'd see it by looking at the plan. It'd kind of give away as to what starting point you're looking at. So,
but I think it would be an interesting exercise anyway in sort of political, social philosophies and what people believe in, and about how we can improve the world that we live in.
I'm open to personally expanding my own understanding of how humanity can be better. And if that means having conversations with people that I might not usually have conversations with, great, because it means I'm learning something. So I'd definitely be open to that if we could get it organised somehow.
Yeah, and in fact, if you want to practice your skills, a really good way to do it is actually with ChatGPT. Is put a statement into ChatGPT, argue with.
I don't know. I really don't like the idea of using AI.
No,
I don't know why. I just do not like the idea of it.
But it's not the information that you worry about. What is useful for is that it will be able to tell you flaws in your argument. It will be able to tell you how to construct a counter argument. And it's really good at just showing you the sort of skills and how you can build on things, because if you're debating with somebody, there's all sorts of dirty tricks that you can use as well that can, you know, help you to win a debate if it's a competitive one. But if you're just having a discussion, it's a different mindset, and I think those skills are important to learn, and they are skills because they're something that you have to acquire, you have to practice, and if you don't practice them, you lose them. And they are important. They are hard.
For me, where I'll fall back to is there's a reason that my mum and dad can do mental arithmetic using their brain. I can't because I was brought up on a calculator. So I would rather learn good and structural ways to debate through debating as opposed to using AI to learn, because I'm then putting my critical reasoning skills aside to listen to something that's doing it for me. That's where I have a problem with it, but yeah.
So I do have a distinct advantage then. I did used to teach it. I mean, granted, it was to year 8, but I did used to teach it. And I used to get them to do really stupid things. Like I would get a kid to stand up and I'd say, right, you've got 1 minute. Tell me why this particular flavour of crisps is better than any other one. And they, you know, they would actually do it. And they were really good at doing it because they could think. But to start with, they were shit because they didn't have a clue. And it is just practicing skills, and you know, you only get to do it by actually getting involved and doing it yourself.
Yeah, I'll stick to the old-fashioned route. AI can help everyone else if that's what they want to do, but for myself, I like the old-fashioned route.
No, and you're right to do. But I wouldn't, you know, for anyone who wants to get into debating or discussions, I wouldn't focus on things like looking at techniques that you can use. The most important thing with a debate, before you do any of that stuff, is you've got to be able to express yourself really simply and clearly. Because if people don't know what you're talking about, how are they going to follow what you're saying? So
Yeah, true.
that's the most important thing and this is what people always forget in any discussion. You listen to anyone who's a good public speaker, they will say what they mean in the most simple way possible. It's the people that are trying to look clever who try and use all fancy words and put loads of examples in. A confident speaker will just say it like it is.
Churchill
if-
said,
so-
And if you
Churchill quoted, "Out of great complexity, simplicity arises."
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is that if you say something with confidence, then people are more likely to believe what you're saying as well. Even if it's not true, as long as you say it in a very confident way.
Why
people-
is that? Like, I don't get it. Like, I could say in the most confident way, "Oh, the sky's green," and people are more inclined to believe it because I say it, and I don't understand that. It really doesn't.
Yeah, I think it
But
depends.
anyway, that's a topic for another time. Obviously, Wiz is wanting to get off and everything because.
And thank you very much for your time, Wizard. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
As
definitely.
always, mate, it's educational for me. I love it. I've been
You've
quite
been very quiet today in the discussion.
yeah, because I'm more like absorbing it. Maybe next time I've got more to say back, but some stuff goes over my head, and sometimes I think of saying something, but then you'll say something or Ace will, and I'll be like, "Oh well, that's what I was going to ask," so I can't say anything now.
You
So
should say
Maybe we could have a system where like on Lubna's lives, like obviously it's a bit difficult for myself because I haven't got a camera, so you can't see me put my hand up. But if you've got something you want to say, what we used to do is just have our hand up and then we'd leave it up until Lubna got to us. That
yeah,
might be a way of you being able to express, "Oh, I've got something I want to say," and then we can pause to realize, "Oh, Wizard wants to say something,"
Mm,
as opposed to you not getting an opportunity to speak. This is your channel, mate. You should have an
yeah.
opportunity to speak.
thing is though, when you or Jake are talking, especially when you're talking to Mike, what you're going to say is going to be far more intelligent than anything that comes out of my gob.
No, not at all.
So
There's no
Everyone-
such thing. No, listen. There's no such
everyone's
thing as a stupid.
contributions are
There's no
important.
such thing as a yeah. There's no such thing as a stupid question. That's all
Yeah.
I'll say.
Completely agree.
yeah,
Just because
we're
I'm
still-
used to asking people questions about things probably more than you are, that doesn't mean that I know more than you do. I mean, for example, if we were to go out for a night working on the doors, I'd be completely shit. It's just what I'm trained in. That's all it is. And so you shouldn't
Yeah.
think of it as being like competitive or anything like that. It really isn't. Knowledge is something that we all acquire all the time, and no one can ever know everything.
As my dad
true,
says, you
very
don't
true.
stop learning till you're 6 feet under.
Very true. Very
Mm.
true. And to finish
Yeah.
things off, what I think is really interesting about the way you're doing things on this channel and why I've been coming back is because you can actually have a discussion at length. You're not tied down to having to wait for somebody else. And people on here that, well, certainly that I've been speaking with, they're not being competitive. When people are talking over each other, it's not to try and drown somebody else out. It's only because they're excited to get a point out. And so I think the conversations have flowed really, really well. And obviously credit to yourself for that, Wiz, because you just let it happen.
Has to be
Yeah,
done, mate.
agreed.
Be done. I mean, because I'm like what you just said. I'm very much. I'm quite blunt. I'll just say it the way it is, and I'm like that in my own head about me. Always have been in life, and maybe that's why I've got no friends. I'm just too blunt. But it's tough.
I hear that one.
Yeah, I'm not going to beat around the bush just to I'll pander to you because I want you to be my friend or I want you to talk to me. If you say something that's stupid and I've got an answer, I'm going to and I'll say, look, mate, no, blah blah blah. If you don't like it, well, grow up. Simple.
Yeah.
Innit? Grow a
Yeah.
pair.
And on that note, I think we should finish because that is a perfect moral.
Yep.
Wise
Just before
wisdom
you
words.
go, I'm gonna put
Yep.
my email address. I'm gonna put my email address in the StreamYard chat, so you can see
Private
it
chat. Yes.
in the
Do that
StreamYard
as well,
one. Yeah.
Jake. And I'll write it.
Yeah.
I'll write it down.
My
I'll get
email
your email
address.
addresses. And then what I'll do is I'll email you two and Michael, and then we'll come up with a time where we can discuss his plans for the world. and then yeah, and it'd be a proper stream.
I'd just be really
use that.
interested to see, like, if there's anything that could actually work, because if there are things in there that could really, really be of a benefit, again, these looking at the college and everything, these are things that could be suggested to the college that could genuinely help. So I'd
Yep.
be really interested to explore it. But yeah.
Yeah.
With that said, I'm gonna hop out. Thanks again,
Yeah.
Wiz, and I'll catch you
No
about.
worries, no worries. I'll be around tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Then I'll be back on. So happy days. So if you're about, if you're not a problem. But if you are, then
Yeah, thanks
it
very
is a
much.
call in.
Appreciate it. And
So brilliant.
always
Happy
chat
days.
and learn, and thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Awesome.
All the best, mate. All
Have
the
a
best.
good
Thank you very much.
one.
Stay safe.
Bye.
See you later. It's so strange. Oh, here we got Ace, who's literally just down the road. It's crazy, isn't it? You couldn't make it up. And Jake, what a very knowledgeable, well-spoken young man he is. That's what makes it all worthwhile, don't you think, ladies and gents? I'm just copying their email addresses, so I've got them because I want to make sure. Happy days. But anything you're saying in chat, Robin, yeah. What I was going to say to you, Robin, hopefully you're still here. You say you've got a book. I need to know what book. That's what I'm getting at. If you, with regards spec or whatever, I know you've emailed me and I've gone through some emails or whatever, but I need to sort of reboot. But obviously you can always re-email me and everything, can't you? Obviously. But yeah, and you're saying about your spec and you got a book and that, surely you can come up and promote it and that, and we can discuss it. Again, even we can open it up to Ace and Jake for them to come up, and Electrodoc maybe. So have you up and we can all discuss it. It'd be good to see your face, but if you want to have a logo bit, as long as I can see your face in the back end before I put you up so I know it's you, then we could do that. But it'd be a good way to maths. Oh my god, not math. Oh, just gotta make sure it adds up. Or email me stuff, and then obviously when I'm in a show I could always just talk about it either. You see what I mean? Either. But yes, so that's it, Slim. I appreciate you coming up as well, mate. It's good to see you again, actually, to be honest. It's been a while. But yeah, you need to come up more, mate. You got very good things to say. You're a very wise man. Interest me, people like yourself, Jake, with Ace. It's good to sit, zip it, and listen because yeah, that's how we learn. But it's good. But anyway, right. 3 hours, 46 minutes. Oh my word. What happened there? What happened there? But yes, but I'm back tomorrow, 4 o'clock. It's literally there's no actual topic. So you can call in, bring up anything you like, talk about whatever you want, anything in the news, anything you've seen, anything you heard, whatever it is, whatever. It's not a problem. Call in. It's tomorrow at 4 o'clock. So don't miss it. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you to every single one of you in the chat. Thank you to all our guests who have been on screen today. Fantastic. But for now, that is the Wizard's words.